Welcome into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you on this Wednesday afternoon. Landon Schmidt producing. We're Sports Time. We're with you for the next 3 hours on this cold, snowy, icy Memphis afternoon. It all rolled through last night. We all woke up and it was white outside. So make sure using caution if you're getting out. I've heard the roads are a little better as we've gotten into the afternoon than what they were this morning. But definitely stay safe out there if you're getting out and about. But Brett, I know you are, I know it's icy and cold and same weather where you're at.
Yep.
How are you this afternoon?
I'm doing well. Not as bad as last time, I don't think, but everybody just use good caution, good common sense, and be safe out there for sure. And if we have anything we need to pass along, we sure will do it.
Absolutely.
Between now and 6 o'clock. But I don't think it was as bad as we feared. It looked a little more north of us. Boy, I-40 is a good demarcation, isn't it?
That's right. Yes. See how that's doing, and I'll pretty much tell you. But
yeah, north of that always is a little worse than south of it.
Yes, it sure is. But no, I mean, it's you're right. I mean, last time, what was it, 6-7 inches?
It just wasn't.
I mean, it was all over the place. This was definitely less, but still, I mean, we are warm-natured down here, and we do not like it when it is like this. And,
especially 2 rounds of it.
Yes,
that's kind of our full quota, isn't it?
You get one a year, and then you're like, okay, it's good.
All right. Kind of fun.
Yeah, but after that, kind of. After that, it's like, all right, give me the spring. And that's where I'm at right now. Let's get to spring. I'm tired of the winter weather.
Get me to Selection Sunday, then get me to the Masters. And I know I got big, bad winter behind me.
That's right. Then that's right. Those are kind of the markers of, all right, now winter is behind us for sure now. But no, I mean, a lot of stuff coming out. And really, you talk about how cold it is outside. Zach Kleiman bringing the heat today with his comments.
Love his
about Ja Morant. We talked about it yesterday about some of these rumors, speculations, whatever you want to call it, about Ja Morant being moved maybe in the offseason. Drew Hill, who covers the Grizzlies for the Daily Memphian, he reached out to Zach Kleiman. He put this out on Twitter earlier today trying to get a comment about this speculation. Here's what Zach Kleiman had to say. Quote, I can't blame other, in quotation marks, executives for fantasizing about us trading Ja, but it's just that, a fantasy. We are not trading Ja. Continue to underestimate Ja, this team, and the city, and we will let our performance on the floor speak for itself. I'm not going to give this nonsense further oxygen and look forward to getting back to basketball.
There's no story.
No story at all, and I think
everybody move right along.
Move along. I love, and that was the part of it. His last sentence, the last few words of that. Looking forward to getting back to basketball, because that's what this is. We have the downtime, all-star break. You're looking for something to talk about. You're looking for something to write about. Nobody wants to talk about the all-star game. You get absolutely nothing from those guys in terms of quotes or stories or anything. You're looking for something, oh, wait, one executive is saying that, who knows, maybe the Grizzlies could trade Ja Morant. Now, that's a big story. You put it out there, yeah, let's get back to basketball and have something to talk about so we're not just pushing out nonsense.
That's right, and the idle time gives people just more time for goofy speculation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's what this is. So I loved it. I think one of the better things Zach Kleiman has said in his time with the Grizzlies. That was really good, and I think
he's on a roll.
Feel good.
And he's on a roll where it's most important. The team he puts out on the court.
That's right, and they're good, and we'll see him, right back out there tomorrow night as they make this final 28-game push of the regular season, and when they hit the floor tomorrow night, they'll be the number 2 team in the Western Conference, and we'll see if they can keep that momentum up and see if they can lock up that 2 seed. It's not going to be easy, but I think coming out of All-Star break, you certainly like where you're at.
NFL announces the salary cap for next year will basically be around $280 million.
It's a number right there.
That is a gigantic number.
Sure is.
They got it.
Yeah, they sure do. You can tell sports doing well when they throw out numbers like that. So.
For a 53-man roster, that's about roughly $5.2 almost $6 million a person. Now we know that's not how
Sure,
contracts
of
work.
course not. Of course not.
More do more, more make more.
Of course, but still, I mean, when that's roughly your average or whatever, that's a pretty good number, and we know the NFL's doing well. They're doing very well, and so no, it's great, and it just means we're going to see even bigger contracts and more money for these guys that do so much out there on Sunday afternoons.
And the quarterbacks are going to get most of the money.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder who will be the first billion-dollar quarterback.
Oh, jeez, yeah.
In just NFL salary, not endorsements, not anything off the field.
We're gonna get there.
Yeah, we are.
We are,
because we're going to get to $100 million quarterback soon.
Oh yeah, no, we absolutely are, and so good for the NFL. They're certainly heading in the right direction, and that's kind of what reflects that is when you're able to pay those guys that much money. And we'll keep saying, I mean, Dak Prescott being the highest paid quarterback, it's always going to get topped, and so I can only imagine what some of these guys that are worth that money, what we're going to start seeing those numbers that come out.
It was almost like a few years ago, when Mike Conley got his contract, and everybody, Mike Conley's making more than anybody. Well, it's timing,
right? Exactly.
Dak Prescott was timing.
Exactly.
The next guy will be up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's how it always is, right? I mean, it's you get the highest paid player since yada yada, team history or whatever it might be, league history, and then a year later,
Caleb Williams someday.
Exactly. A year later that gets topped. A year later that gets topped. I mean,
the Bears want it to be Caleb Williams someday.
They absolutely do, and I think if it is, then I mean, you would hope it's with the Bears, and that would mean big things.
That he's won.
Yeah, and that'd be huge for the Bears. Now, we'll see if they can do it there. It might be him signing for that number somewhere else, which certainly would not be good for the Bears. But who knows? I mean, they got Ben Johnson in there now. I guess he's the offensive whiz kid.
And the notice today, Bears season ticket prices going up.
How about that? Well, when you
got Ben Johnson, you got to pay for it.
Well, they certainly paid for him. I mean, when you saw his contract out there, somebody was going to pay for that, and so I guess
that's right.
When you got that coach, you got that quarterback, and people are going to want to go and see those two and that team. I mean, they've got a lot of really good pieces. So yeah, I mean, we'll see. I mean, that could be the team. A lot of people had high hopes for them. I mean, that felt like the team that everyone was saying, oh, they're going to make the playoffs. Caleb Williams goes in there, and they have other pieces around him. And that Hail Mary happened. It did. I mean, that was the season, and that completely altered the season
and catapulted Washington.
It did. I mean, that's a great point because you look at that game for both of those teams, and it was two teams that went in two completely different directions after that game, and the result is what kind of caused that. I mean, the Washington wins, and now they're in the playoffs and in the conference championship game.
Brian, I was talking yesterday about the dog days and everybody kind of looking for that spark, that igniter.
Yeah.
And I mentioned NC State, and they got it a little later. Well, they didn't really tap into it to the ACC tournament. They limped into the ACC tournament and got hot there. Mm-hmm. And you never know where that spark comes from. Right. And you also don't know what that too much scar tissue loss comes from either.
Sure, yeah. I mean,
and it's why next Sunday is important for the Tigers to see if if that's one on the road on a Sunday afternoon in overtime against a comparable decent team.
Yeah.
Is it just that? Is it the start of a trend?
Yeah.
Or was it just one off?
Yeah, and you definitely hope it's a one-off, and we talked about it yesterday. It sets up really well for the Tigers to have a really good response to that. You take that loss on Sunday, now you have the week off, no midweek game for the Tigers, and so they're going to use this whole week just stewing over that loss on Sunday, and so you would think that being back at home on Sunday against FAU that they're going to come out and be ready to play. The way Penny Hardaway has talked about several times this season about how he's coaching this group and kind of how it's different, how he can be a little more to the point with this group than he has in the past. You would think that this week's going to be tough for that group, and every day they're going to be coming in, and Penny's going to be pointing to what happened on Sunday, and we cannot let that happen again. So you got to assume that they'll have a little bit of fire under them on Sunday.
And going over scenarios of correcting things, but also going over things you did well.
Yeah.
It's not just belaboring the shortcomings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If this side out of bounds play's working, let's keep sharpening up
Sure.
on that.
Sure, absolutely. And so,
Brad, I know I talk way too much about it, but I learned so much from going to Eddie Sutton basketball camp and to Eddie Sutton basketball practices when I was at school, and he spent one day literally every spot on the floor where you could potentially inbound the ball, kind of stuck over in the corner in front of their bench. He got guys out to mimic like they were the opponent bench, and kind of cracking on the guy, stuck. We know that's a hard spot to inbounds. He worked on every spot of the floor, all the way around the floor, on just inbounding the ball.
Wow. Well, that doesn't surprise me. Hearing that from that type of coach.
And I know it's being done.
Sure.
I know Coach Hardaway knows to do that. And
sure.
He's been through practices like that and learned from coaches like that and everywhere else. But you have to do it do it in muscle memory until it's second nature.
You do. And there are a lot of programs and a lot of coaches out there that are not going to – they would think it's a waste of time to go around and do all of the scenarios like that. And so but it doesn't surprise me.
I'll tell you another thing Coach Sutton would do is, say, a post player or something. Yeah. If he saw them, kind of before practice launching 35-footers, he go, don't you ever try that again. He said, we're never having a play that you try that, ever.
No.
He said, that time that you're playing grab rear end, I can't use the whole term.
Right.
He goes, you could be spending time on that free throw line practicing those.
Yeah.
Don't be practicing 40-foot bank shots.
It's great. He
said, I don't ever want to see that junk.
Right. You're never going to be there's never going to be a scenario where you are where you're taking that. So that's great. But I think I think it's going to be a good week of practices for Penny Hardaway's group. And I go back to what he said on Monday, and really what Tyrese Hunter said on Sunday after the game. I know Jason Munns was on with Dave Woloshin earlier, and he brought it up about how Tyrese Hunter after the game, when asked about how is the team going to respond, he said, I'm going to make sure they respond well. And then Monday night, when Penny Hardaway said, it felt like during that game on Sunday that at times the team didn't care whether they won or lost. And so I think, Penny Hardaway saw that. Penny Hardaway realized that. And, I think is going to make a point during practices, during meetings, during film this week of, hey, we can't go out there against any of these next opponents on our schedule and act like we can just, lackadaisical walk through and we're just going to get a win. We got to go out there and want to win, be focused all the time. I was listening, and I haven't listened to the full interview yet, but Chris Douglas Roberts joined the morning show 2 days ago.
I listened to every minute of it live with Greg.
Yeah, Greg said it was fantastic. I've got to listen to it. I think I'm going to do that tonight. We were having some, and for anybody who's looking for that, we've been having some issues with our podcast format, but that interview should be up tonight where you can listen to that. We got it working again. So I'll definitely make sure to listen to it tonight. But they asked CDR, playing in Conference USA and playing against some of these, lesser teams and bad teams, how did y'all go out there and have that mindset every night of, we got to win this game. We got to stay laser focused. CDR said, we wanted to embarrass them. We wanted to go out and absolutely embarrass that other team, every night out. And so, it's kind of the different mindsets you have to have, but you certainly,
they did.
No matter what conference you're in, you can't go out there and just think you can sleepwalk through a college basketball game and think you're going to win.
That team dropped some houses on people. Did. I can't remember the exact score, but I know it was against Siena. Okay, not any big-time glamorous opponent, but a team that occasionally can crack through with that that automatic bid and scare the death out of somebody in a first-round game. But that's about the end of it, and can scare you in a non-conference game. I swear, I can look up the exact score. I swear I think they beat them 50. They just
embarrassed
them.
Embarrassed them. That's what he said that they did. So, make sure you go and check that out. A really good interview with CDR.
It was a team, and that team was decent.
Yeah.
That team could, they could kind of, defend themselves and defend you. Couldn't do anything that day.
Wow.
It was just alley-oops and dunks and maulings on defense.
That's great.
So a lot of tweets from Ross Dellinger at the big college football meeting today between the SEC and the Big Ten. Not a lot really tangible yet, just more more kind of functionary and stuff. And everybody in the SEC now with the mindset of if they don't give us 9 games, we riot.
Really?
We're ready.
Wow.
Everybody's ready for that.
Well, I think that's good. I think having everybody on the same page on that front, that's a start.
Well, people are just sick to death
Sure.
going and seeing Eastern Kentucky.
Oh, yeah. And I think, what did Brent say yesterday when we were talking to him? He said, if you had asked me last year, I might have given you a different answer, but I'm ready for the 9 games now. And so it feels like more and more people as that, because I think at first the idea gets thrown out there, and it's a lot of things. I mean, I'm one of those. I don't love change, and so when something gets thrown out there, I'm like, oh, no, let's just stick with what we're doing. But I think the more you look at it, the more you understand it, and like you said, the more you realize, hey, if you add a conference game, that will take away one of those FCS games in middle of November. I think getting a lot of people on that same front, I think that's big.
I think the quote of the day from Greg Sankey that may rankle some, may agitate some, is he was quoted as saying that if he was just looking out for the SEC, he would have stayed at 4 teams. And had really good success with it like that.
Had great success with 4-team playoff. That is interesting.
Last year, in that first year of expanded, not so much.
Not so much. I mean, SEC ran the 4-team college playoff. I mean, it was
ran 4, ran 2.
Sure did.
And did not run 12.
No, we got to 12, and very, very much the opposite of running it. I mean, it was just barely in there. So that is an interesting quote. But hopefully you get more information about that, more news coming out from those meetings. Ross Dellinger has been all over this. He does such a great job reporting on college football. So we'll definitely keep you updated if anything breaks from that. But loaded show today, so let me go ahead and set it up before we get to top and not top story of the day. 3:30, Gary Darby from the Grizzlies Radio Network. He's going to join us. Grizzlies, already mentioned it, back in action tomorrow night against the Indiana Pacers. We'll talk about that matchup. We'll talk about the first half of the season, this final 28-game stretch. Talk a lot of Grizzlies in our next segment with Gary Darby. 3:45, we'll talk college basketball. One college basketball game going on as we speak, and it's an American Conference game. Charlotte and Temple duking it out right now in Charlotte.
American.
I still don't know. I meant to look this up. I thought, okay, 2 o'clock, maybe it's an education game. I thought, but there's nobody at this game. I don't know if this was a game that was moved up because of
there wasn't going to be anybody at 7 o'clock either.
That's true. So I don't know, but very weird to have this game at 2 o'clock. But
I don't mind.
I don't mind it. Hey,
I think it's
I'm
worth
watching
trying
it right now. I love it. So I love day basketball.
Because for a lot of this league's games, nobody's going at 5, 6, 10, or 8:30.
That's true. So, 2 o'clock game in the American between Temple and Charlotte. But a good slate last night, a really good slate tonight. We'll talk a lot of college basketball at the end of this hour, 3:45. 4 o'clock, Blake Lovell from the Southeastern 16. He'll join us. We'll talk college basketball in the SEC. A busy week for the conference, and we're starting to get close to March. We're starting to get close to that conference tournament. So a lot of SEC to talk about with Blake. 4:30, we'll talk the NBA, as the NBA is back tonight. Only one game, a makeup game from those LA wildfires that postponed a handful of Laker and Clippers games. Lakers going tonight against the Charlotte Hornets. Then the entire NBA will be back tomorrow night, so we'll talk a lot of NBA at 4:30. 4:45, we get to big number of the day. 5 o'clock, Kevin Sweeney from Sports Illustrated will join us to talk college basketball. 5:30, we'll get to what's trending, and at 5:45, we'll wrap up today's show like we always do with Crunch Time. Let me remind you, we're in our Family Leisure Studios where family and fun come together. The preseason pool and patio sale is going on right now at Family Leisure. While it doesn't look like it today, spring is just around the corner and it's time to start thinking about your backyard entertainment. 2024 pricing on all above ground pools and patio furniture. Beat the rush and get in line for your pool installation right now. Patio furniture is up to 70% off to make room for the incoming inventory. Play gyms, trampolines, and outdoor kitchens, they're also on sale. And don't forget about the spas, now up to $3,000 off. And if you mention this ad, you'll get a $250 gift card with a pool, spa, or patio furniture purchase. So head out to Family Leisure, 2120 Whitten Road, just north of I-40.
Produced by Landon Schmidt. We are Sportstime. He's Bryant. I'm Brett. We're with you until 6 o'clock. We want you to be a part of our show by calling 901-360-8255. That's the Sissy's Log Cabin text and talk line. All our guests will appear at 901-360-8255 at the Sissy's Log Cabin guest line. Bryant mentioned our Family Leisure Studios. Hurry up, spring. Hurry up and get here. We're always in our Family Leisure Studios, and this hour always brought to you by Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and online at lexusofmemphis.com. Great offers on all the 2025 models and always special leasing options. Lexus of Memphis right now offering the Golden Opportunity Sales Event. Call them at 901-334-9673, but stop by the only Lexus dealership in Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and put yourself in the driver's seat of the all-new 2025 flagship LS500, and you'll be looking and you'll be driving in style. Drive in luxury and confidence knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design, and that makes for the safe luxury driving experience. Online at lexusofmemphis.com. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Top story of the day.
Well, my top story of the day is the Grizzlies back in action tomorrow night for this final 28-game push of the regular season. It won't be easy to maintain that second seed, but when you look up coming out of All-Star break and you're in second, you got to be happy with how that first half of the season went. But right behind the Grizzlies, it's the Denver Nuggets, who are 8.5 games back of Oklahoma City, only a half game back from the Grizzlies. The Rockets, who are now 2.5 games back from the Grizzlies, the Houston Rockets team that held that 2 spot for a really long time, and the Lakers and the Clippers not far behind. For the Grizzlies, this second half is not going to be easy. They have the 4th toughest remaining schedule in the NBA, and we know a lot of that is because playing in the Western Conference, you're going to face a really good team every single night. Michael Cole wrote a story on the Grizzlies earlier today in the Commercial Appeal titled 3 Biggest Goals for Memphis Grizzlies Second Half, including unlocking the best version of Ja Morant. In there, he talks about the 3 keys to the second half of the season, and it was really the second and third points that really stood out to me. The second one was talking about playing the stars more time. You see a lot of people complaining about experimenting with the rotation and how much the bench guys are playing. You got to get your stars out there and playing. I didn't know this, and DeMichael Cole wrote this. Desmond Bane is leading the Grizzlies right now with 30.5 minutes per game. That ranks 76th in the NBA among players who qualify. Of those who have played 35 games and lead their team in minutes per game, Bane's average is the lowest. He's more than a full minute behind Cam Johnson, who leads the Nets with 31.9 minutes per night. So you got to get those guys out there. You got to have them playing more. Now, he did point out that you've seen since January into February, those stars, Jaren, Ja, and Desmond Bane, playing more. So I think you'll see that continue over this final stretch. And then the final thing is something we talk about all the time, the turnovers. The Grizzlies have really struggled with the turnovers. I don't care what you want to put it to, pace, style, I don't care what it is. That's something that they really got to start limiting, especially when you talk about how tough this remaining schedule is going to be. Limit those turnovers and you'll be in a ton of these games.
Sure will. My top story, it's NBA, but it's not Grizzlies. Bryant, you covered that well. It's tonight. The NBA's back with the Lakers hosting Charlotte. Charlotte in the Tank for Flag sweepstakes.
Yeah.
Lakers with Luka trying to stay relevant. And except for that bubble title and a Western Conference Finals appearance, the Lakers haven't been that relevant in the last 15 years. Now, they're a 5 seed right now, could get to a 2. They could fall maybe to a 6 or 7. This is about the trading range I think they're going to stay in, and we'll just see if they can get it done this year with Luka and LeBron. I think it's this year and next is about the shelf life for trying it with those two.
Yep.
And then after that, it's going to be Lucas.
It sure is.
Not top story of the day.
Let him sit there and see what being the face of the Lakers is all about for a year or two, and then
That crown gets heavy.
It sure does, and so we'll see if he's going to be able to carry it. My not top story of the day, it is the SEC. It was a good night last night in the SEC. Some big games tonight, but you look up, only a couple of weeks left in the regular season, and then we'll be on to the conference tournament. You look at how close the standings are right now in the SEC. Right now, Texas A&M is the 4th seed. That would mean they would not play until Friday. Last night they lost to Mississippi State. We know that they play it's a different style. It's a whole lot of defense, not a whole lot of offense, but they hustle, they get after it. You look right now in 9th is Kentucky. They would start the day on Wednesday playing in the first game.
Game 1.
But when you look at the difference between those two, from first place, Kentucky is only 5 games back. Texas A&M, 2.5 games back. So you're looking only a couple of games separate number 4 and number 9 in the SEC. You can go from playing the first game on opening day Wednesday to playing in one of the games starting your season on Friday with just a few games.
Kentucky's a 3 seed in a lot of brackets.
Right. That's right, and they would be starting the SEC tournament on Wednesday. So a lot's going to happen over these next couple of weeks. We're going to see, who are the teams, who are not the teams. You're starting to see kind of in that opposite directions. Teams really struggling. We talked about Oklahoma losing to LSU and then getting smacked last night against Florida. So we're going to start seeing a little bit of separation, but these next few weeks are going to be a lot of fun as we get closer to that SEC tournament, which this year could be a whole lot of fireworks.
That's my not top story. It's tonight in the SEC. Best game in the league tonight is Vandy at Kentucky. Kentucky, all of a sudden, a bracketologist's sweetheart.
Yeah.
Everybody loves them. Top 16. They're darlings. Why? 14 net. Why? I know everybody wants to see, new Coach Lurch do well, Mark Pope, but they're not that good.
Did you call him Coach Lurch?
I did.
It's good. I hadn't thought about it, but that's pretty good.
I mean, why is he the apple of everybody's eye?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I guess it's hard to replace Cal. I don't know.
Vandy can seal a bid with a win tonight at Rupp.
No, they certainly can. That's a big game night. Some big games in the SEC, but that might be the biggest one of the night. It's going to be a lot of fun. But that'll do it for top and not top story of the day. Let's go ahead and get to a break. When we return, we're talking Grizzlies with Gary Darby.
We are real sports talk. Sports 56 WHBQ. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM and 98.5 FM, as well as around the world online at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, just say, Alexa, play Sports 56. Sports 56 and 95 FM.
Locally owned and operated for over 40 years, Automatic Gates Construction tailors custom-made solutions for all your residential, commercial, and industrial needs, including repairs, maintenance, and installation. Automatic Gates Construction specializes in designing and installing automatic gates and fencing that seamlessly blends security, functionality, and aesthetic appeal. Elevate the safety and efficiency of your property with a premium gate solution. Automatic Gates Construction at myautomaticgates.com.
All 650 acquisition fee, 20,000 miles per year, 20 cents excess mileage. Pay for SEO 233118, MSRP 25320, Telluride SG 596,204, MSRP 41,060, Sportage S719 2005, MSRP 30,660. Includes all rebates and incentives. Must finance through KFA. Excludes tax filing license 895 PF with approved credit. Dealer stock only. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 3/2/2025.
It's the Kia President's Day sales event on now at Gossett Kia South Mount Moriah. Hey, what's up, Jeff Allen?
Randy, I've got a 2025 Kia K4 LXS for less than $5 a day at $159 a month with class-leading torque and fuel efficiency. 2025 Kia Telluride S front-wheel drive with more power, larger cargo area, and more ground clearance than a Nissan Pathfinder. $398 a month. Plus a 2025 Sportage EX, better overall customer rating than a Toyota RAV4 and longer warranty per Edmunds.com at $279 a month.
All $49.99 to its signing, 24 month lease. Plus, get a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited
So whether you live in Horn Lake, South Haven, Olive Branch, or Memphis, you'll be happy at Gossett Kia on Mount Moriah.
If an emergency happened tomorrow, would you truly be prepared? Most Americans aren't. My Patriot Supply, America's most trusted name in emergency preparedness, is offering a special discount on their 3-month emergency food kit. Each kit provides over 2,000 calories daily for 90 days. These aren't typical survival rations. My Patriot Supply provides delicious meals and extras, including chicken, beef, real meat, fruits, and veggies. Being prepared is a state of mind. Take advantage of this special discount to secure your family's future now. Go to mypatriotsupply.com. If you order by 3 p.m., your order will ship within the same day, so you'll be prepared in no time. That's mypatriotsupply.com. mypatriotsupply.com.
You know, sometimes I wish I had a gun.
Well, I'm armed, but before I bought one, I still went to Top Gun Academy to learn to protect myself without a gun.
How is that possible?
Top Gun's personal protection training. It's perfect if you want to protect yourself without firearms.
I don't know.
And it's perfect if you feel the need to carry a gun for self-defense, because the last thing you really want to do is shoot.
That is scary.
Not at Top Gun. It's very comfortable, and you learn to load, handle, and shoot a handgun safely. Protect yourself. Go to Top Gun Academy. They're at 2770 Witten Road.
Step up your wings game at East Coast Wings and Grill. With 60 wing flavors and 7 heat indexes, do you have what it takes to turn the heat on your wings up to insanity? East Coast Wings and Grill is family friendly with a large variety menu to satisfy the whole bunch. Sign up today for the loyalty program and taste the rewards. For every dollar you spend, you collect a point. Earn 100 points and receive a $5 reward. Next to Rose on Highway 64 in Marlin, come try America's best wings at East Coast Wings and Grill. Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. It has picked up just a bit more in the last few minutes. Going outbound on Sam Cooper over here at Perkins. Some of these major routes still have some snow cover on them, but they've done a pretty good job for the most part with sand and salt, at least throughout parts of Tennessee. Now traffic has increased just a bit in the last 10-15 minutes. 40 west at Danny Thomas, headed across the I-40 bridge back over into West Memphis. Again, some of these back roads and side streets, if that freezes tonight, it's going to be dangerous. Hey, if your yard needs some help this time of the year, call Lawn Solutions at 867-5626. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Now, back to Sports Time. Sports 56. This hour is brought to you by Lexus Service. Here are your hosts, let's talk sports with Brian Gates.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you in our Family Leisure Studios. And joining us now to talk some Grizzlies, Gary Darby from the Grizzlies Radio Network. He joins us now. Gary, thanks so much for joining us. As we're one day away from seeing the Grizzlies back in action, as they'll be on a 3-game road trip out of the All-Star break. When you look at what this team did before the All-Star break, and you now look at these next 28 games to finish the regular season, what is the most important thing for the Grizzlies over these next 28 games?
Wow, stay healthy.
That's
I
it.
think
That's
is it, right?
That
Just
is
stay
it.
healthy. Because they're just now getting a chance to play, as the group, the entire rotation. So I think more than anything, it's stay healthy, just continue to build, the time on the floor together, because you're starting 2 rookies, and they need more and more and more work, as do all of them, really. John, Dez, and Jaron need work together. So, it's things like that. Just staying healthy, able to be on the floor, I think, is the biggest thing.
Gary, I said it a few weeks ago. I don't know why it took so long, but it was later January, maybe mid to late January. I'm at a game, and it hit me. Starting 2 rookies.
Yeah. And I think just in looking and thinking, about that, and I'm not sure. I would like to give credit to whoever came up with this. The last time, a playoff caliber team like this had 2 starters was the Clippers when it was Shea Gilgeous-Alexander and Landry Shamet. Other than that, there's been nobody. I mean, zero since, let's just go 25 or 30 years as the NBA game has changed. That's the only team when way back then that SGA was with the Clips and Landry Shamet was a Clipper as well that played significant, starting time. Not
we
getting
would
a
have been
big
here.
start here or there, but it's been a while.
We would have been here to the end of time for me trying to come up with SGA and Landry Shamet.
Look, I heard it on a radio program.
Well, it's true
there, right? I can't. So it's not. It wasn't my research either, Brad. I would love to give credit because that's one of the things that I do try and do. I don't know if you guys do as well, but it's listen to an occasional other podcast or this or that, and I had a little more time maybe over the weekend when I was traveling. With almost baseball and had an opportunity just to be alone and kill some time and do things. And I know it was over the weekend that I heard it.
Yeah. I don't even know where I would have started. King, I would have started with some superstar that I knew was impactful as a rookie, like Magic, like Larry Bird, even Michael Jordan's rookie season with the Bulls, and just see if there was another one in there. But I don't know if I'd have started there. That's good. On the road at Indiana tomorrow night, and then Friday night in Orlando, back-to-back out of the break. That's I think a nice scheduling tidbit. But then a day off in Cleveland on Sunday night. This is Brian and I were talking about it yesterday, Gary. This is the number one seed and two other playoff teams in the East.
Oh yeah, I mean there's truthfully not going to be too many easy ones the rest of the way when you look at the Grizzlies' schedule and how hard it is. I mean, you'll find obviously a couple of teams that with New Orleans coming back up on the schedule and things like that. But you're going to be playing all of those teams that are in the playoffs on both sides as you finish things up. So yeah, they it's out on the road and I don't know, that might not be a good thing. You come out of the All-Star break, get back out on the road, get in a routine away from home, so to speak, right? But then, no, you're kind of playing playoff basketball. Well, those teams are going to be working on, where they fit in the pecking order, the Indiana and Orlando, at least. And then you know what you're going to get with a big physical Cleveland team on Sunday.
Yeah, you absolutely do. Going back a couple of weeks, Gary, we haven't talked with you since the Grizzlies made the trade at trade deadline. There's a lot of reaction to it. A lot of people kind of upset of what they gave up in that trade, but they sent Marcus Smart and a first-rounder to Washington. They sent Jake LaRavia to Sacramento. Johnny Davis and Marvin Bagley come to Memphis in that three-team trade. What did you make of what the Grizzlies did at deadline?
I think it was more about where you are with the rotation. Again, you got to stay healthy. You understand that, but and what guys like Scottie Pippen Jr., getting Gigi Jackson back, things like that, gave you the ability to send Jake somewhere, and then Marcus Smart. And I think it opens up things, as far as money is concerned for the future too, because you got to start thinking about Jaren in a contract, Santi Aldama in a contract, things like that. So I think more than anything, that's kind of what it looked like the moves, were made for, because you knew the 10 guys, 11 guys or whatever that you might play here in the second portion of the season. And, unfortunately for Marcus, we never really got to see what Marcus Smart could do because he was always injured here as well over the short amount of time. So that one, you had to send a lot to get him, and then, it just didn't pan out for him here. But I think that was it. They know the guys that are going to play, and they knew what they needed to do, next season. And then also they may still be, I don't know, a player in some of the buyout market, that may continue as it goes along.
Gary, I know you saw the Kleiman quotes today about the national story of the potential of John Morant being dealt, and my translation of it is, I've got more serious things to worry about. Let's get real.
I think that's right. Obviously when you see players the caliber of Luka and Anthony Davis get traded, Kevin Durant said it. That means anybody, quote, is, is available, but I didn't buy it either. I don't see that happening. Now, Kleiman came out today and pretty much put his stamp on it. So, look, this is their window. This is this group's window. So, I mean, unless it was some unbelievable, kind of like what you saw with Mavericks Lakers, I don't think they could ever entertain it, right? That is, when Ja Morant is on the floor, it's unbelievable what he can do himself and what he can do for everyone else. That's why I said at the beginning, health is the main reason. If Ja Morant is healthy, that team has a chance to win any series that they're in. So it would take a lot for me if I was a general manager to even think about trading a Ja Morant.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of Ja Morant, it feels like a lot of people have kind of been talking about this first half of the season for him, and obviously injuries have been a big factor, but a lot of people pointing out he hasn't been as efficient when he's on the floor as he has been in recent years. What have you seen from Ja Morant, and what do you want to see from him specifically over these next 28 games?
Well, I'm holding, because I just luckily enough, printed off game notes for tomorrow. 20.7 points and 7.4 assists. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I'll take that any day.
I'm okay with that. And, maybe shooting needs to be a little bit better. And I think, teams have been physical with him, as they will with him driving in the lane and doing those kinds of things. But he just needs, I think he just needs to be on the floor and do what he's done and continue to do. He's got 4.5 rebounds a game, too. So, I mean, maybe it hasn't been shooting-wise as good as you would like. But other than that, if he's scoring 20 and dishing out 7.5 assists, Des Bain is being a benefit on part of it, and Jaren another, and then anybody else that's on the floor, whether it's the lobs to Zach or setting up well in the corner. I mean, I 12 on the floor healthy. And I'm not worried about any,
every time.
I'm not worried about whether anyone thinks that's been efficient or not, in the first half. I think you get him on the floor, it just makes it better.
Gary, we know the Oklahoma City matchup would be imposing for anybody in the West.
Yep.
So move that to the side. Who are some of the other less favorable potential playoff matchups for the Grizzlies?
Unfortunately, the ones that right now they kind of line up with, whether it will be Clippers or Lakers, right? I mean, both of those big physical teams, too. The Minnesota, they've obviously been able to deal with. Minnesota would have worked in that 6-7 kind of range as well. Any of those top six, I mean, that's going to be a difficult run for anybody in the West. Mm-hmm. And can you really count out what if Golden State gets on a run? What if Phoenix kind of finds out something? I don't know, and I don't want to leave any of the teams out. But the teams that have been able to be physical with the Grizzlies and get away with that physicality, right? If the officials are letting, the rough play go and they're able to bounce Jaren around a little bit, those are the teams that have given the Grizzlies trouble. I guess right now, they would hook up with the 7 seed, so you don't really know who that is. But, in the Western Conference, Brett, it's hard for me to say that there's one matchup versus the other that looks good for anybody.
That's
even
right.
It doesn't, even I get what Oklahoma City has done, but let's just say at the end of the year, Dallas is healthy with Anthony Davis and Kyrie Irving is there as the 8 seed. That's not a gimme. That's just not a gimme for anybody.
And as good as Oklahoma City looked here against the Grizzlies, and it was humbling to watch that play out. We all saw it. We all know the reaction. I still don't know that I trust them that much to stay torrid from outside shooting the ball. And the Western Conference playoffs, they're going to whoever comes out of that. I'm calling it now. It's going to be 4-1. Anybody in the East over the West in the NBA Finals. They're going to be worn out.
Yeah, it will be tough. For that team that gets through, because right now, let's just say it. If Cleveland gets the Hawks as the 8th seed, right? Atlanta may win a game. They may get something, and then you've got Pacers, Milwaukee. So okay, that might tax
One or
you
two.
a little bit.
Yeah.
But there's no doubt that 1 through whatever 8 comes out of the West looks to be a little bit more difficult than the East. And I'm with you. They will be a tired Western Conference team, but they still may be talented enough, to make a series out of it with the East. And I still think Boston's the best team on that side.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be fun over these next 28 games, see what the Grizzlies can do and how they wrap it up. Yeah, Brett, go ahead.
Yeah, real quick, we enjoyed listening all weekend to baseball.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Did you have any baseball duties yesterday, and did that set a record cold in Oxford for a baseball
Extra
game?
innings.
I don't know if it. The thing about that park, Brett, and you know it sits down, and it's literally, people will tell you that have lived around here long enough, the coldest place in Oxford, Mississippi, right there next to Faulkner's Woods.
It is.
I will be honest and say I did not attend yesterday's game. I took it in with Kellum and Brad Henderson in the comforts of my living room. So I did not do anything there. Over the weekend, I will have one. In fact, it's kind of weird against Eastern Kentucky. Eli Savoy's got Friday. I have Saturday, and Kellum has Sunday for play.
All right.
So, yeah, it's kind of a move around for that because I'll have Grizzlies the next 2 days, and then Ole Miss baseball on Saturday, and then back to the Grizz on Sunday. So I'll need to once again write down who I'm. This is my outro, right?
Oh, the throws.
yeah. But baseball was fun and really good college baseball out there in town.
And that ballpark, isn't it something?
It is, and I told the wife when I got back, if we can take a trip to go see a Major League Baseball weekend or whatever this summer, I want to go there. You can stay right there. There's all the food you need.
Sure
you can take the kids across the street to Six Flags if you want. It's just all within a couple of blocks of each other. But that stadium was amazing.
Did you have in your notes? I hope I wasn't bothering you. The number 42, Brian, at that ballpark, and they have it when you're down field level. You can see the number 42 inscribed. It's the shortest distance from home plate to the screen in the big leagues, and they intentionally did it to honor Jackie Robinson.
Really?
It was great, and being able to walk around and go down on the field and look at all that, and do everything. Just tremendous what they've done there. And the Rangers, have to be spoiled with what they have and everything.
Won
and
it all
know
2 years ago.
Yeah, I know all the other major league parks have been great as well, and it was good. I had a guest, excuse me, join me on that Friday game. Lance Lynn, former Ole Miss Rebels, obviously St. Louis Cardinal. Yeah. He got the first win in that ballpark.
Wow,
man! Who will he be with this year?
I don't know, and that's where we got talking too with others that surprised maybe somebody hasn't.
Stay in shape. Somebody will get him in the middle of the year.
That's right, and
come in.
He'll
eat up some innings.
He'll end up whether it's it'll probably make some of us mad that pull for other teams. He'll end up a Dodger or a Yankee. And
I hope so for him.
Yeah, right. For Lance, that'll be fine. But it's near the end of his career, and he's had a really good one.
He's much a man, isn't he? That's a big man.
He's been that way, too, right?
Yeah.
Since the day he walked onto this campus from Indiana.
Looked like a defensive end.
He could have definitely put his hand down in the ground one way or the other. There's no doubt about it. But he can spin a baseball, or he could throughout his career. I'm sure he's got something left in him.
Oh, for sure. Well, Gary, as always, thanks so much for joining us, and we'll do this again soon.
I'm here. Just let me know.
You got it. Thank you, Gary.
Gary Darby joining us from the Grizzlies Radio Network, but you also know him from Ole Miss Radio as well, talking a little bit of everything. Always a lot of fun. And he's right, it was a great weekend for Ole Miss baseball. We haven't mentioned it. 3 games, all 3 against top 25 teams. Ended up 2-1 in that weekend down in Arlington.
Got run ruled in the one loss, but got
Texas.
A win back with the run rule on Sunday.
That's right. So it was an eventful weekend. Got their, first unofficial SEC game out of the way playing Texas down there. So
we got frostbite
really
yesterday in Oxford.
Ooh,
It
yeah.
had to be cold.
Extra innings against Arkansas State, but able to walk it off in the bottom of the 10th. So a lot of fun with Ole Miss baseball, and certainly a lot of fun with the Grizzlies. Let's get to another break, and when we come back, we'll talk some college basketball.
It's not spring yet, but it's close, and right now, it's the perfect time to start thinking and planning for your backyard entertainment. Just so happens Family Leisure is thinking that way too, with their preseason pool and patio sale. Get 2024 pricing on all above-ground pools and patio furniture. Also, secure your spot for pool installation. That way, you can go ahead and start making plans. Lots of new inventory is en route, so in-stock patio furniture is up to 70% off. You want a play gym, a trampoline. How about an outdoor kitchen to go along with that new pool? They're all on sale too. You can get spas up to $3,000 off and save even more by mentioning this ad. You do that, you'll get a $250 gift card with a pool, spa, or patio furniture purchase. Winter won't last forever. The spring will be here soon, so get ready with the preseason pool and patio sale at Family Leisure, Whit Road off I-40, where family and fun all come together.
Elwood Shack in the Lowe's parking lot on summer just keeps getting bigger and better. Bigger because now there's a second Elwood Shack at 4040 Park across from the University of Memphis. And better because you can get breakfast every day at both Elwood. There's the barbecue breakfast burrito, even beef brisket or pork shoulder, and pancake biscuits made fresh daily. Real house-made pancakes, apple and bacon, French toast, and more. And the new Elwood's even has a real coffee bar serving fresh roasted J. Brooks coffee. Elwood Shack, now in 2 locations and open every day for you.
Bobby J says get to the Gossett Kia President's Day sales event today at Gossett Kia on the Pike. You'll find 2025 Kia K4 LXS for less than $5 a day at $159 a month with class-leading torque and fuel efficiency. 2025 Kia Telluride S with more power, larger cargo bed area, and more ground clearance than Nissan Pathfinder $398 a month. 2025 Sportage EX, better overall consumer rating than Toyota RAV4, longer warranty for Evans.com at $279 a month. All with $49.99 due at signing. Plus Kia's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. Call Bobby J. He'll put you in a new Kia today. Gossett Kia, 1900 Covington Pike. Online, KiaCovingtonPike.com.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
20,000 miles per year, 20 cents excess mileage. K4, SEO 233118, MSRP 25320. Telluride SG59624, MSRP 41060. Sportage S719 2005, MSRP 30660. Includes all rebates and incentives. Must finance through KFA. Excludes top final license 895 PF with approved credit. Dealer stock only. CD for complete details. Offer valid through 3/2/2025.
Jenkins Floors and More invites you to their retail warehouse where they pass wholesale savings on to you. Jenkins Floors in Little Rock, Cleveland, Mississippi, and now open in Horn Lake at 2356 West Goodman Road. Specializing in flooring and carpeting, tile, plantation shutters, and blinds, Jenkins makes your life easy with a 2-week turnaround. Contractors, builders, or family projects, call 662-469-9350 for a free estimate. Owners Timmy and Rebecca Jenkins say hello to Sports 56 fans and look forward to your business. Now, back to Sports Time. Sports 56. This hour is brought to you by Lexus Tires. Here are your hosts, Let's Talk Sports with Brian Davis.
All right, again, Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you. Got to talk some college basketball, some really fun games last night, some good games tonight. But Brett, oh man, I know you loved seeing ESPN.com today because there's only one men's hoops rankings you need, and it's Jay Billis's top 68 teams. I know you're just clamoring for Jay Billis's top 68.
I swiped right over it.
You missed it. You missed it. There's not much there.
The thing I love the most this year because of he's the team at ESPN with Dan Schulman. And just having to camp out at the SEC.
I mean, every single game's SEC.
Because he hates us.
Oh, yeah. Well, I should have looked. I didn't look too close.
They pay baseball coaches $1 million in that. Jay, memo, we're making money.
Yeah, it's the only conference in baseball that's...
And every cent's privately raised.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, but no, the SEC was really good last night. We talked a little bit about it earlier, but you look at, Oklahoma, a team that, Brett, I think we've been talking about, you saw them firsthand against Arkansas, and team kind of to watch because it feels like, it doesn't feel like, you look at these bracketologies and they're on the right side, but you look at them 3-10 in SEC play. They were undefeated going into conference play, only 3 wins since then. They get absolutely smoked last night on the road against Florida.
It has to be more than metrics. It's got to be, you look at this team, and I did it a month ago. That's not a very good team.
Yeah.
They're just not. I like Porter Moser a lot, a Final Four coach.
Sure.
A Final Four coach with Loyola.
Yeah.
Like him a lot. He was I liked him when he was at ULR. Knew him just a smidge.
Sure.
And doing a good job, but that's not a good team.
Yeah.
Now, who replaces them? There's got to be somebody that can replace them.
And that is that's the question. Yeah, and I like his team. I think they're a fun team to watch, but when you just the way that they have not been
Brian,
very competitive.
Respectfully, I don't. I think they're stuck on blah.
Well, and I'm not saying in terms of I like them, like I think they're a good team. I just enjoy watching them play, and it's because they have a couple players I like playing. No,
I don't think Arkansas is very good. We know LSU and South Carolina are very good.
Yeah.
I think the league is that good. But those teams aren't.
Yeah.
And they're a member of that league.
Well, and I mean, that's how a conference got to be. I mean, there's got to be a couple teams that are getting beat up when you have so many heavy hitters. I mean, not every team can be full of heavy hitters.
For the tournament, I think I would rather see West Virginia get in than OU.
I think so. Yeah, I really like this West Virginia team.
And West Virginia and Cincinnati's must win for both of them.
Oh yeah. No, that
is tonight, isn't it?
That is tonight. You're
right. I think I messed up an AAC game yesterday. I said Rice and UAB were playing.
Yeah, and
but it was tonight.
It's tonight. Yeah, but no, you're right on that one. The Cincinnati and West Virginia, that is tonight. But no, I mean, we're getting to that point of the season where a lot of these games are super meaningful for the teams that are playing.
Right. I'll carry San Francisco's flag more than I will Arkansas's.
Yeah. I mean, San Francisco, a really good team, and we saw them early in the season when Memphis played them. And yeah, I mean, there are definitely deserving teams out there, but it's kind of that double-edged sword of
here's a good one. Who's really better? The team that Eric Musselman coaches now, or the team that Eric Musselman coached last year?
It's a good question.
Arkansas or SC?
Yeah, I would maybe lean USC. USC is they've got some big time wins.
I think I would too.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's coming down. I mean, this is when we're really going to figure out who are those teams and who can really make this tournament. Who's deserving of making this tournament? Last thing before we get to this break that I just wanted to point out, and we'll talk about it more, especially when Kevin Sweeney joins us in our third hour. But BYU last night at home, all over Kansas, a 91-57 victory over Kansas. They're really struggling right now. We'll talk about that a lot more.
And Kansas, a 5 seed at Shelby side.
That's right. And they have really struggled, especially over these last couple of weeks. But let's go ahead and wrap up this hour, get to a break. When we return, we're talking SEC basketball with Blake Lovell.
If wedding bells are in your future, you need an unforgettable engagement ring from a jeweler you can trust. And that's been James Gaddis Jewelers for over 60 years. With a huge selection and the best prices, James Gaddis is a master jeweler and diamondologist. Beautiful jewelry from James Gaddis is always the right choice. Choose from rings to earrings, necklaces to bracelets, and gemstones to watches. Layaway and financing available. James Gaddis Jewelers, 4900 Poplar, online at GaddisJewelers.com and Instagram at Gaddis Jewelers. Say I do at James Gaddis Jewelers. I'm Gary York. I'm the service director of Lexus in Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. We
please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 91271-5199.
Attention homeowners, it's time to score big with Choate's air conditioning, heating, plumbing, and generators. For the first 50 callers who purchase a new carrier system, generator, or tankless water heater, choose between 60 months of no interest financing or free air duct cleaning, a $500 value. Plus, don't miss our $39 February deals. Choose from a furnace tune-up, a sewer inspection, or an electrical panel inspection. It's the perfect way to prepare your home for the season. But hurry, this winning deal ends February 28th. Don't fumble this opportunity to claim these amazing offers. Call Choates today at 347-8086. And remember, Choates, let our family serve your family.
Hi, this is Troy Fiveash, owner of Fiveash Roofing. I have been told that my ads are all business and I should share some of my personality. Okay, I love tongue twisters, like the one about the terrific tasting toast by Taste Tester Toaster, or Big Black Bugs, Bleed Blue Blood, and of course Sally and her seashells. Or of course the ever-present I'm a Mother Pheasant Plucker, I plug Mother Pheasants. Okay, enough of that. If you want an honest, fair, reasonable roofing, siding, or gutter estimate, call Fiveash Roofing at 367-0050. That's exactly what you'll get. No empty promises, no high-pressure sales tactics, and no fast-talking salesman trying to convince you that today and only today is the best day for you to get a new roof. For the record, the best day to get a new roof is when you're ready for one. Fiveash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Fiveash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. Clearing up a couple of wrecks we had out here a little bit earlier. Midtown traffic still not bad. I-40 at Chelsea. Some of these back roads still snow covered. Some didn't get traveled on that much, and that could freeze tonight. So be careful. It could be very dangerous when the sun sets later on. Weimer's Jewelry, 7525 Highway 64 is your full-service, family-owned jewelry store here in Memphis. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis with John Harden. Weekdays from 11 to 1. Sportstime on Sports 56 and 95 FM.
Welcome back in to Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you in our Family Leisure Studios, and joining us now to talk some SEC basketball. Blake Lovell from the Southeastern 16 joins us now. Blake, thanks so much for joining us. A lot to get to in the SEC, but I want to start with this Texas A&M team. Last night, they lost on the road against Mississippi State, 70-54, that final score. I've seen a lot of people start talking about this Texas A&M team because they're kind of a quirky group. They're 7th in the AP poll. Right now, KenPom has them at number 16 in the country. But when you look at how they play, their style, really good defensively. They're going to go out, they're going to do the dirty work, they're going to grab a bunch of rebounds, offensive boards, all of that dirty stuff. But then offensively, they're really struggling to get much production, really struggling to score the ball. How do you view this Texas A&M team as we get closer to the conference tournament and the NCAA tournament?
Yeah, it's interesting. If they would have won that game last night, I was getting ready to tweet out something to say, all right, guess the record of this team. And I was going to list all their offensive stats.
Yeah.
And 297th in effective field goal percentage, 241 in turnover percentage, 301 in three-point percentage, 301 in free throw percentage, 264 in two-point percentage. It's like, guess the record of this team. And I guarantee a lot of people are like, well, that team's probably, 10-14 or 10-15. No, they're 20-6 now. And it is just wild, isn't it, to think about that. But I guess when you have a top 5 defense and you're one of the best, if not the best, maybe rebounding team in the country, especially on the offensive end, that can sort of, counter some of that. And, I think the way I would put it with Texas A&M, and I think I said it to someone this morning, is I don't think there's anyone that's going to beat Texas A&M at their own game because, quite frankly, there's not many people that play Texas A&M's game. And when you look at some of the recent scores, they're winning games 68-57, 63-62, 67-64, 69-53, 69-61. Like, that's 5 of their last 7 wins in SEC play. Like, these are all games played, in the sub-70s. And so I think when you look at it from that standpoint, like, they are one that when you go and try to find, like, who are the kind of teams that are going to give them a lot of trouble? Well, I don't know that there's necessarily just 1 or 2 teams, because remember, I mean, they've beaten Texas Tech, they've beaten Purdue, teams like that. But when you look at a team like, I don't know, let's say Alabama, right, or Kentucky, or teams like that who've already beaten them, I just think if you put them in a scenario where they're not getting to the free throw line and they're turning the ball over, what else do they have offensively? I mean, and that's not a knock on their players, like they can score, but the percentages tell us they just don't have what you need to be able to make a deep run in a tournament-type setting. So I think that's A&M's biggest problem moving forward. I don't know if they're going to turn it over 19 times every game, but as we said, their percentages are not great there. And unless they get to the free throw line, I just don't know, if they're going to be able to win games in March just because you can't trust them from an offensive perspective.
2 things stick out to me, Blake, about Texas A&M. Maybe more than 2, but 2 big ones. One, the game they blew in January at Texas. That stays with me. And for both of us, Bryant was there, I was there last year here in Memphis at the NCAA tournament. The big comeback to still fall short against Houston. Something always falls short, not just for Buzz Williams, but for A&M, football, basketball, baseball. I can't trust me really getting my bracket in front of me and having A&M way out there.
No, and that's the problem is like that you're only trusting, whereas with some of these teams, whether we're talking about Auburn or Florida or whoever else that's in that kind of, I mean, honestly, in the same range with A&M because they were a 2 seed as of Saturday. So it's like these teams that are top 2, 3 seeds, they have a lot more sort of areas you feel like you can trust them in. And like with A&M, it's just, I just don't think that margin for error is there at all, despite, again, them having a 20-5 record before last night and being the 6th overall seed in the tournament. It's just, there are really only a couple areas that you're like, I fully expect them to excel there every single game. But all the other areas are very volatile. I mean, even that may not even be the right word just because it's kind of showing the numbers are telling us that they're just not that great. Again, offensively, sure, you can try to win it with your defense, but like I mentioned, you get the wrong team and the wrong matchup that comes out. And you know what? I think of this too, guys. Think about, and it's different because not every season is the same. Whereas last year's NCAA tournament for Texas A&M was just one of those where, like you said, they just had a couple wild results. But think back even, a couple of years ago where, they go 25-10, they go 15-3 in SEC play, and they still, now look, their offense was a bit better, but they still had the same issues in terms of like looking at their offensive numbers. They were not a great shooting team really anywhere except from the free throw line. And what happened? They drew a Penn State team in the first round that came out and could shoot threes like nobody's business, and they ran Texas A&M off the floor. And so it's like if they run into a team like that as a higher seed, it doesn't matter who it is. They're probably going to beat them.
Tonight for Alabama, they don't lose to Auburn twice, do they? Auburn got them Saturday at Coleman. Does Auburn and Mizzou get them tonight in Columbia?
Yeah, I think the problem with Alabama is, they're dealing with some injury things. And I feel like these days, though, every time I bring up injuries, I'm always like, we might as well just bet the bad news because in the SEC this year, it seems to really be working out for them pretty well. Darian Reed, who came back, recently, he didn't play much, and you're like, okay, well, maybe he's just kind of easing back into it. Well, no, he's doubtful again tonight. Big Cliff, obviously one of the biggest parts of what they do from a defensive standpoint. It sounds like he's questionable. Not sure if he's going to play, how much he's going to play. So you're kind of, feeling like Alabama's a little shorthanded coming out of a game where there's no doubt they're disappointed in losing that home game to Auburn. And now they have to regroup, like you said, and go on the road and play a Missouri team that really, outside of the team we just talked about, Texas A&M kind of having their number in recent years, Missouri's just been really good at home. And I think from that standpoint, you kind of look at this here and feel like this is a really good spot for Missouri. But again, every time I feel like I say that about a team that's shorthanded, whether it's Kentucky, whether it's Tennessee, whether it's Florida, those teams always find ways to win games. And Alabama's in that same tier of upper tier teams that just sometimes find a way. I don't think it's the worst thing in the world for Alabama here going in, maybe potentially shorthanded. And really it's going to come down to, I've said this, get your stopwatch out now, because this may be the longest SEC game of the year, because these two teams are both top 5 in the country in free throw attempts. And we know sometimes if you're in the SEC and you're going to officiate a game, you can call a foul on every single possession. We'll put that theory to the test tonight, because both these teams are going to try to get to the line.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. Last night we had South Carolina and LSU face off. I mean, two of the bottom dwellers in the SEC this season. LSU comes out on top. Now back-to-back wins for them, because they beat Oklahoma over the weekend. And after that win, LSU committed to Matt McMahon. They put out saying that they were going to stick with him and that they were going to improve the NIL budget for the basketball team. What do you make of this decision? It feels like we always see that latter part of we're going to improve the NIL for the team after a coaching change. That's usually when they bring in a new coach, it feels like, when you hear about better NIL. But now they're saying we're going to stick with our guy, but we're also going to improve NIL. What did you make of that decision by LSU?
Yeah, that is an interesting one, because, I know the report was talking about, well, look, I mean, here you go. The LSU and South Carolina are the two teams that maybe have the lowest NIL budget right now, and here they are, both sitting, at the bottom of the SEC standings. And I think the one thing that I feel like sort of helped Matt McMahon, and this is what I've kind of brought up, is I know they weren't, an NCAA tournament team last year, but they did show improvement to the point of going 9-9 in SEC play. And I think that got him a little bit of, leeway. And I think what can help you out a little bit this year is the fact that, they go 9-9 last year. They lose probably easily one of their top 3 players in Jalen Reed earlier in the season. And so if you look at it from that perspective, before they lost Jalen Reed, they were playing pretty well. Like they were, looked like a team that maybe was going to win, maybe 9 games again in the SEC. It ultimately didn't happen. But I think that's sort of that, when you have a school like LSU, who we know has had certainly their ups and downs over the years, and why they hired Matt McMahon coming off of what happened after the Will Wade era. And now you kind of look at it from this standpoint and thinking, okay, if we're going to feel like we're being fair and give this guy one more opportunity, then we look up and see everybody else ahead of us in the standings, and we know how much money they're spending and what the NIL budget is here and there and all that. Maybe this is sort of that last effort to see if this can work. But again, it's just, I think Matt McMahon's a good coach. It's just a matter of, this is the SEC in 2025. It's the toughest conference we've ever seen. It's never been this strong. And so can you navigate it? Sometimes there are guys that just can't seem to get over that hump. And we'll see if he can moving forward.
Blake, right now in the SEC, who has the best basketball NIL?
Oh, boy, that's a good question. Because, I think Arkansas is pretty high up there based on things I've heard. And so I wouldn't be shocked if that's the team that's right there, at the top, quite honestly. I wouldn't. But
can't imagine Kentucky struggling. Who should be better than they're doing?
Now, that's a good question. I think that's where, and look, I'll just tell you, I don't have the numbers, but
because you got Oklahoma's AD today really going to the whip with his fans over NIL across sports. If Oklahoma's having to rattle a tin cup, man, it's tough out there.
Yeah, and I think that's it. Is sometimes, again, when you just don't know these exact numbers, like some of these probably would surprise us and be like, all right, well, that makes a lot of sense. But I think I'm curious, and again, I don't have the numbers, but I'm always curious what Georgia's look like these days, especially for basketball. And I think they've always been a school because, how it is, Brett. The thought for many, many years has always been, well, why is Georgia not better in basketball?
Just mystery.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of one of those things where I'm sure that has something to do with it. I don't think there's any doubt about it, just when you kind of probably, compare rosters sometimes. But that is one I'm really curious about. If there was one in the SEC, I'd love to see that number. It would be Georgia, just because I think we've always kind of had that conversation about them and wondering, are they ever going to kind of take that next step? And, again, Mike White's done a great job turning the program around from where it was, but, now here they are sitting there in, the bottom four of the SEC standings right now, and you just kind of wonder, are they ever going to get to that point? And I'm just not sure.
Mm-hmm. When you look at the bracketologies, so many out there to look at, but I have Joe Lenardi's pulled up right here, and you look at who he has on the bubble, last four buys and last four in, 4 SEC teams in that mix. Texas, Vanderbilt, both in the last 4 buys, Oklahoma, Arkansas in the last 4 in. Out of those 4 teams, who makes it into the field, who doesn't make it into the field?
Yeah, I think when you certainly kind of try to project who is going to be there, I just feel like we're kind of at that point now where I don't see any path for Oklahoma getting in. I just think you're 3-10 in the league, and I just don't really see many wins left for them. I mean, quite honestly, I wouldn't be shocked if they go 1-4 the rest of the way. I wouldn't be shocked if they go 0-5 the rest of the way. So I don't see the wins for Oklahoma. I think, sure, if we played the tournament today, they may still have a shot, even at 3-10, because you're comparing them to resumes from the ACC teams, but I don't see it happening. I think Texas somehow, believe it or not, I was not thinking this 2 weeks ago, but I think Texas is probably the safest of the group. I think they're going to be fine just because their schedule is, not to say easy, but I think they have the schedule that's easiest to navigate the rest of the way. At South Carolina, at Mississippi State, home against Georgia, home against Oklahoma, and then, of course, the game at Arkansas in there, too. So I think Texas is winning probably at least 2 or 3 more games, which I think will be fine. The only number they need to get to, in my opinion, is 7 at the very least in conference play. I think Vanderbilt's a tough one. I think they're kind of a toss-up because, again, they need wins, and they're 5-7 right now, but they probably have the second toughest schedule left behind Oklahoma and Alabama. Well, I guess Alabama's got the toughest, but Vanderbilt's got a brutal schedule the rest of the way. The good news is they get 3 of those at home. I think Vanderbilt will make it. I wouldn't be shocked if they're in Dayton. And then, of course, there's Arkansas. And, I think based on performance, I probably would be surprised if Arkansas doesn't make it now because I think they're just playing very well overall, and I think that's going to allow them to get some wins. It may not happen tonight at Auburn. It may not even happen on Saturday against Missouri. But after that, getting Texas, South Carolina, Vanderbilt, Mississippi State, would I be stunned if they went 4-0 in those games? I would not because I just think that they're playing better than probably all those teams right now, maybe, minus Mississippi State over the past week. And so from that standpoint, I'll probably take Arkansas to get into. So Texas, Vanderbilt, Arkansas, I think have a good chance. I think Georgia's out of it. I think Oklahoma's out of it.
Vandy tonight at Rupp Arena, if they win, first season sweep over Kentucky since 2007. Tonight for Texas and to watch Trey Johnson. I saw him live in Oxford, and I will see him again next Wednesday night in Fayetteville. That is one player that I could go watch every night. I could go to every one of his games.
Yeah, I mean, he really was coming into the season. We knew he was getting a lot of hype, and you're just always asking the same question, right? It's a league now and an era in college basketball, really, where it seems like a lot of times it's dominated by the older guys, just because you've got a lot of old guys now. But, of course, you see the Cooper Flags of the world walk in and Trey Johnson, and I mean, he's just been unbelievable at times, just at how good he is. And
it's G.G. Jackson 2 years ago at South Carolina.
Yeah, I mean, he is – you look at this guy, and again, he's not just your SEC Freshman of the Year, but he has every reason to be a first-team All-SEC player based on the way he's played. And that's why I think you can give Texas a little bit of that extra something when it comes to like an NCAA tournament, setting, right? I mean, they're probably going to wind up at best maybe a 9 seed, something like that. But I'm telling you, if I'm a number 1 seed or if I'm in that 7-10, they beat a 7 and I'm a 2, like a Texas A&M, which I don't think they would do that pairing based on, how the rules set it and all that. But the SEC may not give them any choice this year based on all the region rules and everything because of how many teams are going to be in. But I look at them and say, I can see that team winning a couple games in the tournament just because they have a guy like that. They're pretty good overall. I don't think Texas really has any clear weaknesses in terms of like things you would say are just so bad that it's going to cost them games. The depth is probably something where if they get in foul trouble, they may be in a little trouble.
But heck, who is deep?
Exactly, right? Look at all the injuries. You talked about Vanderbilt. I mean, Vanderbilt's going into Kentucky tonight, and once again, Kentucky's without their top 3-point guards. I would be shocked at all if Vanderbilt wins that game. In fact, right now, I may pick Vanderbilt to win that game because I don't trust Kentucky to defend, and I think Vanderbilt is one of the best teams in the SEC at running their offense. And so that may be a game where we look up and say Vanderbilt just clinched their NCAA tournament spot right there.
Yeah, I promise you, Blake, I said earlier, win tonight and it seals it. They're in.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, I think so too.
For sure. I know we've asked this to you before. We'll probably ask you 5 more times before it's actually announced. But right now, who do you think is the coach of the year in this conference?
Yeah, I mean, I tell you, to me, it's boy. I mean, there are so many guys I feel like I could go with, but I think I'd probably narrow it down to 3 at this point. It's either Bruce Pearl, Todd Golden, or Dennis Gates, and I think it's one of those 3. Mark Pope was there until Kentucky started having the injuries. I mean, not his fault, but he's going to move down a little bit based on their record. But, the SEC always gives out, not always, but most years, gives it out to the team that has had the biggest turnaround, which I think would be Dennis Gates without question. But if we're talking about Auburn, let's say, winning the league, and let's say they only lose one more game. If they lose one more game, I don't know. I really then don't know how you don't give it to Bruce Pearl. It's because that would be a historical achievement for them to, let's say, only lose one conference game, or again, even 2. I don't care what the number is. And so if Auburn wins the league, I think absolutely. I mean, Todd Golden, I think, would be in the conversation if they were to, let's say, sneak up there and maybe tie for first or something like that. Because right now, I don't know who's going to beat Florida. I think they're the best team in the country right now based on the way they're playing, and they just went and beat Auburn. So wouldn't be shocked at all. But, again, it's kind of how does this play out with Auburn and Florida the rest of the way? And if those teams were to, let's say, lose a game or 2 more, then I can understand every reason to give it to Dennis Gates if Missouri finishes strong here.
Blake, last Saturday we had the 1 through 16 reveal. Do we get any more from them? Will they update that?
That's a good question. I don't know the answer on that. I don't know if they do it again because I didn't really get the sense that they are going to keep updating that. But, I mean, because the way that Bubba Cunningham, the AD from North Carolina, the way he kind of talked was he was setting everything to say, we'll see in a month and those kind of things, which obviously is true because that's when the bracket's going to be revealed. But they didn't really make it sound like there was any sort of additional follow-ups like we get with the college football playoff rankings. But I could be wrong on that.
Yeah, I think somewhere between the college football doing it every week and basketball just teasing us, we got to hit a happy medium.
Yeah, I think that'd be a better scheduling, probably.
Yeah, have something a little more than just one time. Well, Blake, as always, thanks so much for joining us. Enjoy all these games. We'll do it again next week.
Sounds good, guys. Thanks.
Thanks, Blake.
Thank you, Blake. Enjoy. Blake Lovell with us talking SEC basketball. And, Brian, if you remember, excuse me.
No, you're good.
Back when the first idea of 12, 13 SEC bids, I said, no way. It's not going to be that. It's not going to be. Oklahoma at 10 conference losses, that means you're not a tournament team.
Yeah.
I don't care what league you're playing in.
Yeah, I mean, you got to draw the line at some point, and I think Oklahoma has probably missed that cut. And look, if they start rattling off wins here at the end of the season, go on a run, then they definitely deserve to be in the NCAA tournament. But I don't think that's going to happen. You look at these last games for them: Mississippi State at home, Kentucky at home, Ole Miss on the road, Missouri at home, Texas on the road. I mean, Blake said it. There's a very good chance they could go 1-4, maybe even 0-5 in those last 5 games.
They can be the rim wrecker. They can be the wrecking ball.
Sure.
Let them win. I think that Ole Miss game Saturday, March 1st, not
that's right.
next Saturday, but the next, because I'm going. That does real damage to Ole Miss.
Yeah, and I mean they could certainly play spoiler. They could win a lot of these games, a handful of these games. They could go on a run in the conference tournament, then maybe there's another conversation. But when you look at this game, and now on a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 game losing streak, 6 of their last 7 being losses, that is not a team that's moving in the right direction. It's a team plummeting, and I just don't think that team deserves to be in the field.
Here's another reason why I think LSU is sticking by the basketball coach. A little different in the level of success, but does that AD really want to be firing the basketball coach when the football coach hadn't done that much?
Yeah, it's a good question, and he
hired them both.
Yeah, it certainly could be a part of it. And look, I've brought it up a couple times. I'm glad that LSU's making this move and keeping Matt McMahon. He is a fantastic head coach.
I didn't even know that it was up for grabs, that he was in trouble.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't think it was anything serious to it, but obviously when you're struggling to win games, that question always gets brought up. But no, I mean, he's a great head coach, and I think we should see more of this where athletic departments commit to the guy that they hired and say, hey, let's try to get through this rough patch and look at the brighter side. We hired you for a reason because we think you're a good coach, instead of going out and firing guys after 2-3 seasons.
I think it did for a long time at Tennessee with Coach Pat Summitt's success. Her success put pressure on the men's basketball program.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I think that happens at LSU.
Yeah, for sure, and I think. I think it was David Cobb we were talking to on Monday who brought up the really good point of, Matt McMahon comes in right after Will Wade and everything that it had gone down with him, and certainly now we're living in a different world with college basketball. But back then, that was absolutely not. I mean, it ruined the LSU program at that time. And so, came in not easy, hard to get recruits, hard to do this. I mean, I know here when the James Wiseman story was going around, and you didn't know, was there going to be NCAA punishment because of that? There was a very prominent recruit, I wouldn't say super prominent, but a good recruit that had Memphis in his top 3 and decided not to go to Memphis. And a big reason because of that was, I don't know what the NCAA is going to do. I don't want to come to your school and then have a 2-3 year tournament ban because of that. And certainly with LSU, I'm sure they got a ton of that. So it wasn't an easy situation. And then when you don't have an NIL budget, that just makes it even worse. So I'm glad they made this decision to stick with them.
And Oklahoma kind of begging for NIL. Big story out there today. Mm-hmm. LSU having NIL trouble for basketball. And I hear, it's not stupendous. It's not great in football.
Yeah.
They have to really kind of go to the mat.
Oh, man. Not what
LSU, like a lot of places, the old way, the old handshake way, was a lot better, was a lot easier.
Yeah. A little handshake in a bag. There you go. Yeah.
And pretty good clearance from the NCAA and SEC office, and not a lot of trouble for you.
Yep. Yeah,
we're going to get on this one and that one,
right.
and you can do what you want to.
We all thought it was going to be easy now that it's legalized, and now it's maybe a little tougher.
The new Silverado deal of the year, maybe the decade, is at All Star Chevrolet in Olive Branch, where all the Silverados are, right down Highway 78, cross into Mississippi on Highway 78, get to Kraft Goodman Road, and you're there, and you can get financing down to 2.9 plus on those Silverados, no payments for 90 days. How about this for a Blazer? 1.9 and no payments for 90 days for a Blazer. It's still Love Month, so you'll love all the new Silverados and all the Blazers at All-Star Chevrolet in Olive Branch. You will love no payments till May. Your good credit deserves it, and you'll get it at All-Star. If you're law enforcement, educator, military, recent grad, healthcare worker, first responder, an instant extra $500 bonus just like that. If you're looking for a certified Silverado, Suburban, or Tahoe, they're right there at All-Star Chevrolet on Highway 78 in Olive Branch. Every pre-owned you can imagine, Hyundais, Fords, Hondas, dozens of Silverados. And if you have any vehicle you want to sell, bring it to All-Star with you. You bought it there or not, and you'll get the best deal for your vehicle. Together, let's drive to All-Star, or visit allstarautogroup.com.
Let's get to another break. When we return, we got one NBA game tonight, a whole bunch tomorrow night. Don't go anywhere. We're talking NBA next on Sportstime.
Join the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin, for Wolo and Friends. Weekday mornings from 10 to 11 here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Owning your own home is wonderful, and buying your own home can be wonderfully easy. If your agent is Margie O'Neill of Remax Expert, Margie has over 20 years of experience in helping folks just like you find their new home. Buyers markets, sellers markets, up and down markets, Margie has sold them all with a dedication that makes it easy for you to buy your new home. Margie O'Neill at Remax.net. That's MARGIE.ONEAL at Remax.net. Or call 901-685-6000 for your new home. Margie O'Neill makes it easy.
Is your wife asking you to stop eating junk food? You haven't covered the home.
So good, Coach Penny eats with us weekly. Don't forget, Humdingers offers full-service catering for weddings, social events, or your corporate lunches. You can call 901-260-8292 to find out more.
Do you know one of the best things you can do for your employees or family's health? Provide Arctic Clear bottled water. Arctic Clear bottled water is your locally owned and operated bottled water provider. Arctic Clear is 100% natural spring water with free delivery instead of dependable service and no long-term contracts. An easy choice. Call Jeff Metis today, 901-382-2363, or visit arctic-clear.com. Arctic Clear bottled water. Call now 382-2363. That's 382-2363.
Price does not include licensing costs, registration fees, taxes, and dealer dock fee of $899.50, which are to be paid by the consumer. Example, stock number SC12-64070, MSRP $48,840, dealer discount $4,000, $2,000 customer cash, $3,000 bonus cash, sale price $39,840, interest starts at date of purchase on approved credit, expires 3/3/25.
Tiger Nation, Memphis men's basketball returns to FedEx Forum Sunday, February 23rd at 1 when the Tigers welcome FAU to the 901. It will be our Champions for Literacy and Fan Appreciation game, sponsored by International Paper. During the game, we'll recognize Tiger Nation for their tremendous support throughout the year with seat upgrades, prize giveaways, and more. It's time to stand up, Memphis, and cheer on your first-place Tigers. Be sure to get your tickets now at GoTigersGo.com.
This traffic brought to you by Brinson Tax Service. They protect you like family.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. They were clearing a wreck up a few minutes ago, 40 eastbound, just before Watkins, near that 101 connector, as traffic builds up through the Midtown area just in the last few minutes on 240, especially coming southbound as you work your way past South Parkway. Still snow-covered back roads, side streets that could all freeze tonight, so be very careful if you have to get out and about later on. Weimer's Jewelry, 7525 Highway 64, is your full-service, family-owned jewelry store here in Memphis. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Only one NBA game tonight. It's a makeup game from back in January. The Hornets and the Lakers. Late tonight, 9 o'clock, out at Crypto.com Arena. And then tomorrow night, a bunch of games to get us back, a couple TNT games. So it will be fun to see these two teams, but it will be a little weird to see these two teams play because they were trade partners in the trade that never happened.
Until they weren't.
The trade that went through both all the players being in their new homes, and now it is changed. So that will definitely be a storyline to follow tonight in that game.
Way back in Top Story of the Day, I said that the Hornets are in the Cooper Flag sweepstakes.
Yeah.
I don't really like doing this, but we're going to do it, okay?
Okay, all right.
Let's play along.
Okay.
Let's put on the full conspiracy.
Okay.
That the Patrick Ewing envelope was frozen.
Sure.
That everything, every conspiracy you ever thought of about the NBA, that they have preference for the Lakers. Where do you think the league, if they could place Cooper Flag, where would they put him? Among the teams that will be in the lottery. I mean, they can't send him to the Lakers.
Right.
That'd be too much.
Snap their fingers. Yeah. Hey, Luka, LeBron, we got you another guy. Here's here's.
I mean, he's not going to the Knicks.
No. When I look at this, I think, I don't know.
What outrages people if on ping pong ball night that envelope pops up?
San Antonio.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Maybe Philadelphia, but San Antonio.
Maybe
for
Philadelphia,
sure. But for league buzz, Brooklyn, Washington.
I think Brooklyn makes a lot of sense.
Well, the league's tried about everything in Brooklyn.
They have, and so I wouldn't be surprised if you did it again. But certainly, I mean, Washington could be right there as well. I don't know. I mean,
Washington's been lost for so long.
They have. So I mean, it would feel like both of those would be a lot of fun. I just went to Tankathon, everyone's favorite place to go and sim the lottery. Just simmed it one time. The Pelicans were the team that made the jump up to get Cooper Flag.
That'd be about our luck.
It sure
Have
would.
to look up and play for 10 years.
Him and Zion playing them every year. So, I don't know. It's going to be...
Oh, you think Zion plays again there?
He might. I mean, I think so. But I wouldn't be surprised with anything.
They've had a lot of breaks.
They have
on draft stuff.
They have, and so maybe they get it again. And but I mean, here's the thing: whether it's whether San Antonio goes and gets him, or if New Orleans goes and gets him, I mean, this draft is loaded. Both those teams are going to get a pretty good player in the draft that we're going to have to see for the next 10 years. And I mean. So, I mean, right now, Dylan Harper is projected to go number 2, and if before simming, New Orleans would have the second pick. They get Dylan Harper, and I mean, he's an unbelievable player. Has the Jazz getting Ace Bailey, an unbelievable player. So, I mean, this draft's loaded. It's gonna be a lot of good dudes.
Have you watched much Rutgers?
Oh, I've watched a ton of Rutgers. I watched a lot of them. Both those guys. I mean, they're can't miss.
Where's the other player going in that Tankathon?
Third, I mean, right there behind him, Ace Bailey at 3, going to the Utah Jazz. I mean, and that's kind of the beauty of this is there's a good chance, a really good chance that we see Rutgers missing the NCAA tournament and having 2 guys that will likely certainly go in the top 10. Certainly, probably the top 5, and could go in the top 3 of the draft.
Go through that whole lottery for me.
So, number 1, Cooper Flag. Number 2, Dylan Harper. That was before simming. Washington taking Cooper Flag. New Orleans taking Dylan Harper. Jazz at 3 taking Ace Bailey. Hornets at 4 taking VJ Edgecombe from Baylor. 5, the Toronto Raptors taking Yakachunas from Illinois. 6, the 76ers taking Trey Johnson from Texas. 7, Brooklyn taking Con Knippel from Duke. 8, the Bulls taking Malawach from Duke. 9, the Portland taking Asa Newell from Georgia. 10, the Spurs taking Noah Esingwa from Germany. So the first international player at 10, which is, or at least non-college playing player at 10, which is cool to see. 11, Jeremiah Fears from Oklahoma. 12, Liam McNeely from UConn. They have him going to the Rockets. 13, the Hawks taking Derek Queen from Maryland. 14, the Heat taking Colin Murray Boyles from South Carolina. And 15, Yegor Demin going to the Spurs at 15. Obviously, Demin from BYU.
3 Dukies in the top 8.
That's right. All 3 of their freshmen that have been really good this year, and obviously Duke has been really
Trey
good.
Johnson that I talked about with Blake going 6.
Yeah, I mean, this is a really fun draft class because of all of the guys that are playing college basketball right now, and a lot of young guys. You know, you see a bunch of people talking about how freshmen matter again in college basketball, and so it's going to be
and
really
it will
cool
help the
seeing
tournament.
These guys. Yeah,
really, really good ratings. Last Saturday's Alabama-Auburn game drew around 3 million. Mm-hmm. The biggest on ABC, ESPN, biggest draw this year. I think the actual biggest TV audience was the Thanksgiving game between Arkansas and Illinois that had the huge NFL crowd, dragging into it.
Yeah, and I mean that was a great decision by college basketball to do that, and I think it sounds like that's going to be a staple going forward. Is they like that spot for a college basketball game.
It does, and Calipari has told publicly announced that Arkansas is already invited to that game. And the opponent you can't imagine. It's going to be huge.
Okay, I love that. I mean, it makes sense.
How great would it be if it was Memphis?
Oh, that'd be awesome. I would love that. And so I guess we'll wait.
And he said it's a game Arkansas fans have been clamoring for.
That's a good question because
there are some that want that game renewed.
Definitely. But it's also a weird time, to have that game against someone big, because usually at that time everyone is playing an MTE. So that will be fun to see who that opponent is and what they get. Cause
I guess you could do your MTE. There's some that weekend before.
Yeah. I mean, you can make it work. That'll be fun to fun to keep
after
an eye on.
Thanksgiving weekend, that kind of shuts that down unless you go to Rainbow.
Yeah, starts slowing
Christmas.
down certainly after that. But no, that'll be good. It feels like the college basketball really likes having that game there. I think that was a Fox game on Thanksgiving. So they certainly like having that going to college basketball. But no, tonight's going to be fun. Lakers and Hornets. And then tomorrow, I mentioned it, 2 TNT games. You mentioned the 76ers, big game for them at home against the Celtics. And then that second game, Suns and Spurs, that game, kind of 2 teams at the bottom of the Western Conference trying to make it into the play-in. And kind of hard to think about talking about the Suns being in that group, but it's really hasn't worked out. This three-headed monster that they wanted to put together in Phoenix.
No, it hadn't worked out, and Phoenix has had a lot of a lot has been put into it. I mean, they've tried to make it go, and they've been close, but can't ever win it. Grizzlies right now favored tomorrow night in Indiana.
Yeah, how about that? Road favorite. So you like to see that? I'll be curious to see. Right now 440 on the day before, how much that moves to tomorrow at this time when we're talking about this game, and kind of see if they're still a road favorite, because I think this is a really good Pacers team, but certainly the Grizzlies coming on the road. I just saw, I think at the top of the hour, Grizzlies PR put out the status report for tomorrow night's game, and it's fun to look at. You see the only guys out are
finally
your 3 two-way guys and Johnny Davis, who is not with the team. I feel like that's a guy. I'm kind of shocked they haven't waived him yet. I'll be surprised if he stays with the team. If he ever shows up with the team, I'll be very
I wouldn't
surprised.
buy a jersey.
No, don't buy a Johnny Davis jersey. But
I don't know if the number's been issued.
No, I don't think so. But it is nice to see nobody on that list, nobody listed as doubtful or questionable or anything. I mean, it's going to be your full group out there.
Gary Darby jumped at that. That's all. That's the most simple thing we want as a fan base around here, is just to finally let's see what our real team can do.
Yeah, because I mean we've seen it. We know how good this team can be when they have everybody healthy, and we've been wanting to see what can this team do when it's healthy, and you have guys like Vince Williams and G.G. Jackson coming off
in
the bench
natural
playing those
roles.
Exactly. And so now we'll be able to see that, and so I think a really good opportunity for a Grizzlies team that did a really nice job before the All-Star break to really come out of the All-Star break firing, and 3 really good opportunities against 3 really good Eastern Conference teams.
Another thing, when we were visiting with Gary, I didn't get this in, but we have the 3 out of the break, the back-to-back at Indiana, at Orlando, the day off Saturday, and then Sunday night in Cleveland. Let's say it's doomsday.
Okay.
You lose all 3.
Okay.
You know what you can at least say?
What's that?
Only 11 left on the road after that. Got those 3 out of the way.
Boy, only 11 after these 3 on the road.
After Sunday night, after that back-to-back day off a game, then it will only be 11 more. Really just one grueling extended road trip, and it is the big one.
I'm sure it's brutal.
It will extend from the travel the 16th, to play on the 17th of March, and stay out on the road, I would assume, through the 27th against Oklahoma City. So 11, 12 days on the road.
Yeah, that's tough. But hey,
I mean, I know it's not going from Tampa to Wichita.
Right, yes, but it will be tough for
which has
for
been
the Grizzlies.
almost canonized into being the Bataan Death March.
That's right.
But,
It's a tough trip, Brett. Very tough trip.
And those opponents on that road trip,
I believe it. I'm sure it's
some
brutal.
a little lighter, but some a little tougher.
I'm sure it's brutal. I mean, it's life in the Western Conference. We talk about it all the time. It's never easy, but no, I'm excited. I really am super excited to see this team get back out there fully healthy and see what they can do over these last 28.
At 5 o'clock, we'll get back into college basketball talk with Kevin Sweeney from Sports Illustrated and College Basketball Central. He'll be on our Sissy's Log Cabin guest line. That guest line number is 901-360-8255. Sissy's Log Cabin, the official jeweler of the home team of the Grizzlies. They're ready for the Grizzlies to get back home. And when they get back home, you can see the FedEx Forum, Sissy's Log Cabin floor seat lounge downstairs, and go back there and look at the display cases and see a lot of that beautiful jewelry from Sissy's Log Cabin. That location at 4542 Pauper. Bill Jones and his great team here to stay, supporter of Tigers athletics, part of the fabric of the community. The Mid-South's largest selection of one-of-a-kind jewelry, engagement rings, necklaces, earrings, wedding bands, 9,000 square foot store in Laurelwood with expanded lines for Rolex, Cartier diamonds, and more. Since 1970, with all the great locations across the Mid-South. Sissy's offers a selection of diamonds, estate jewelry, and fine gifts. Official jeweler for the Grizzlies, and I mentioned at FedEx Forum with the floor seat lounge and both baseline seating. Unsurpassed value, exceptional service, expansive selection, and an extraordinary shopping experience, because life's too short for ordinary jewelry.
Let's get to another break, and when we return, it'll be time for Big Number of the Day.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
It's your time to upgrade into a new ride from Gossett Volkswagen on the Pike. 2025 Jetta S, buy it now, $20,499. 2024 Taos SE, $249 a month or $28,616. More front and rear headroom and longer warranty than Crosstrek or CX-30. 2024 Tiguan S, more cargo space, torque, and warranty than Escape or RAV4. Only $279 a month. Plus all 2024 Atlas SE LP conditions, $5,000 off MSRP. So get to Gossett Volkswagen today, 1875 Covington Pike, online, GossettVWMemphis.com. And remember, no reasonable offer will be refused. Gossett's where we're charging forward and charging less every day. If you want it, we got it at Gossett Volkswagen. 7,500 miles, 3,100 down. Taos RMO 56,983, MSRP 31,939. Tiguan RM 144,331, MSRP 31,363. Jetta SMO 45,444. Atlas 3,500 bonus customer cash 1,500. Includes all rebates and incentives. PF 895 excludes tax title and license. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through end of the month with approved credit dealer stock only.
Jenkins Floors and More invite you to their retail warehouse where they pass wholesale savings on to you. Jenkins Floors in Little Rock, Cleveland, Mississippi, and now open in Horn Lake at 2356 West Goodman Road. Specializing in flooring and carpeting, tile, plantation shutters, and blinds, Jenkins makes your life easy with a 2-week turnaround. Contractors, builders, or family projects, call 662-469-9350 for a free estimate. Owners Timmy and Rebecca Jenkins say hello to Sports 56 fans and look forward to your business.
Step up your wings game at East Coast Wings and Grill. With 60 wing flavors and 7 heat indexes, do you have what it takes to turn the heat on your wings up to insanity? East Coast Wings and Grill is family friendly with a large variety menu to satisfy the whole bunch. Sign up today for the loyalty program and taste the rewards. For every dollar you spend, you collect a point. Earn 100 points and receive a $5 reward. Next to Lowe's on Highway 64 in Marble, come try America's best wings at East Coast Wings and Grill.
It's the #1 FDA-approved asthma inhaler available over the counter. Primatene Mist. Breathe easy again. Use as directed. Sponsored by Armstrong Pharmaceuticals.
Sportstime on Sports 56 and 95 FM.
Big Daddy.
Hello, Big Brand. It's a guy, he wants to be big, then he gets big, he doesn't want to be big anymore, then he gets small, but the suit's too big.
Big Daddy.
The big boy.
You're a big guy. I think she's trying to pull a fast one on Big Daddy.
The big number of the day.
Well, Brett, my big number today is the number 87. Alabama basketball has scored at least 85 points in 8 consecutive road games. That is the longest such streak on the road by any Division I team in a single season since George Mason in the 1994-95 season. That was also an 8-game streak. The last longer single-season streak was by UNLV in 1990-91. That was 12 games. So Alabama definitely doing it. We already knew this. They're doing it on the offensive end.
Yeah, Vegas 90-91, they were defending champions, had won it spring of 90 and had that dynastic team that looked like it was going to go undefeated in 91 before losing to Duke in the national semis when Duke was the plucky, upset darling of the country,
right. Everyone loved him at that point.
And
Not
now,
anymore.
34 years later, everybody despises
Everyone
him.
hates him.
I promise you that day, unless you were within 5 miles of the Vegas Strip, everybody else was pulling for Duke around the country. My big number is the number 8. That's how many wins Bruce Pearl has against John Calipari. But John Calipari's gotten him 13 times. Bruce Pearl 8-13 versus John Calipari. So John is 13-8 against Bruce Pearl. Bruce Pearl is 7-4 when those games are at his home arena. 1-9 in road games against John Calipari. Road win he's ever gotten against John Calipari, February 23rd, 2008 at FedEx Forum.
Oh, yeah.
In the 1 versus 2.
I guess so.
Tonight on the Plains.
Yeah, no, home game for Auburn tonight.
1 road win for
crazy.
Pearl against Calipari.
That's crazy.
And that was that famous 1 versus 2 game.
Wow.
Anniversary's coming up.
Yeah, it sure is. That would have been glad that this game is a home game for Auburn and not a road game. That would have been bad having 1 versus 2 brought up memories of what happened to Pearl 1 versus 2.
17 years ago.
17 years
Guess
ago.
where I
That's
was?
hard to believe. You're right here.
Right here.
Right here. Every
And
story.
at FedEx, well, that night.
Sure,
I was
you're at FedEx Forum. I was not at that game.
Night before was Grizzlies against Dallas, and it was the first game that the Mavericks had Jason Kidd in after their big trade.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, so a lot going on in
It was.
Memphis that weekend. Huh.
That was a good back-to-back nights at FedEx Forum.
Yeah.
Mavericks, Grizzlies, Tigers, Tennessee.
Yeah, I did enjoy over the weekend because of Auburn, Alabama. I mean, they did it for the Tigers game, I guess the midweek game before, and then I saw it a couple times over the weekend before the Auburn, Alabama game, during the Auburn, Alabama game, but seeing that package from ESPN with all the highlights and all the clips from that game between Memphis and Tennessee, that was fun over the weekend.
The thing that indelible to me about that game is after Tennessee won, now I'm going to say total Big Orange partisans in the crowd that night, probably 1,000, 1,500.
Yeah.
You know, even tough for Memphis, Tennessee fans to get a ticket to that one. You know, it was a Tiger house and should be.
Right.
But all of them, no matter where they sat, upper reaches of the arena, each end zone, they all gathered around right behind Bob Kessling and Bert Bertelkamp for Bruce Pearl to come out and do the post-game show.
Really?
And the rest of the arena had
Sure,
been empty.
of
Tiger
course.
fans had seen and heard enough.
That's cool. That's really cool. But
It's nothing like winning on the road.
No.
In any sport for any team.
No, I mean, it's huge. It is absolutely huge.
So with the SEC scheduling model, Brian, I started thinking, you know, what Big Ten place do I want to go to the most?
Okay.
And it's easy. It's easy. What do you think it is?
Big Ten, Penn State.
No, it's Nebraska.
Oh, yeah. That makes sense.
I've got Nebraska on my college football only bucket list. And yes, I have a college football only bucket list.
Of course you do.
And going to a game at Nebraska is 5th on that list.
Can you tell me what 1 through 4 is?
Yeah, Cocktail Party 1, a game at Notre Dame 2, SC UCLA 3, preferably at the Coliseum, because I don't want to go to the Rose Bowl Stadium unless I'm going to a Rose Bowl game.
Yeah.
Number 4, a game at West Point. 5, Nebraska.
Yeah.
But down the list at 9, this could happen in the Big Ten. A game in Seattle at Husky Stadium.
Yeah.
Yeah, Washington's in the Big Ten.
Yeah,
Remember
that's
that?
right. Yeah, don't forget it. Easy to forget, but don't forget it. I'm surprised you've never been to a cocktail party.
Only thing in the SEC I haven't done that I want to do. There's
Yeah.
a couple of things.
Sure.
I mean, I hadn't been to a Vanderbilt, South Carolina game, but I don't want to go do it.
No reason to go to one of those, but
Everything that I've wanted to do, I've gotten to do. But the 1 or 2 times the open dates lined up,
it's tough.
something else happened and couldn't.
Yeah, I guess a lot easier to get any SEC things related knocked off the bucket list in basketball or baseball than it is with football. A lot more difficult for you.
Yeah, but would love to go to a game at Lincoln at Memorial Stadium.
Oh, yeah, that would be a lot of fun. Yeah, I don't know why they didn't come to mind when I thought about it. You're
I hope that's the Ole Miss Big Ten roadie first year.
That'd be really cool. And so, yeah, I mean, it's going to be a lot of those. I mean, and I think that's going to be fun for SEC teams and SEC fan bases to
when I
start
look at these
thinking
future
about it.
schedules and I see games, out there at 2037.
Oh, man.
I can't make any plans for 2037, Brian.
No, unfortunately not.
No.
Fortunately not.
Actuarial tables matter.
Yes, they do. But it'll be fun, looking and saying, oh, man, maybe we'll go to, play at Ohio State or play at Michigan or,
Everybody's going to have Ohio State on that list.
Of course.
And
Michigan
all
too.
16 can't go.
No. It's only
How do you think those games should be divvied up? How should they schedule?
I have no clue.
I do. Here's what I would do. I would turn it into a show.
Okay.
I would have a big tub of teams like on NBA ping pong ball night of the Big Ten tub and the SEC tub, and have both commissioners there and spin them around in there and pick one out from the Big Ten and one out from the SEC, and that's who plays.
That'd be fun. That would be fun. Yeah. You just don't want to be the team that draws Purdue.
I think they're going to bring the CPAs and the bean counters in and try to figure out how to max out TV ratings instead of having big tubs of teams.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to worry about that because, like I said, I mean, you don't want to get into something where you have Purdue at Georgia or something like that. I mean, you want Georgia, Ohio State. You want Alabama and Penn State or something.
But everybody Ohio State works.
Oh yeah. And, same thing vice versa with Big Ten, SEC.
Sorry, Greg Gaston. How many works with Maryland?
That's another team. Yeah, you're and I mean, there's teams in the SEC you can say that for. I mean,
sure can.
Vanderbilt, the fun story this year. I love Vanderbilt just as much as anybody, but I don't think many Big Ten teams, when they're looking at the SEC, are going, oh, man, hope we get Vanderbilt. Maybe on the road at Vanderbilt, you go to Nashville. I'm sure that's be a great weekend, but I think many people are looking forward to
selfishly
playing
for me, I want somebody that I've never seen in person before. And at Washington, Nebraska, Oregon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that'd be fun. I mean, it's going to be fun for SEC fans thinking of the possibility.
But I got to hurry up and do it.
Yeah, they gotta work this thing out. Get done with the meetings. Let's figure it out. Let's start doing it for sure. But we got to wrap up this second hour and get to another break. When we return to start our third and final hour, we're talking college basketball with Kevin Sweeney.
Thinking about selling a home, remember that other real estate agents I'm so excited.
I had a feeling you'd be excited.
That doesn't even begin to describe how I feel about the new Central Barbecue location on Central.
Well, technically, it's the same location.
Same location, but a very different Central Barbecue on Central.
I get what you're saying, but I don't want to confuse people. The new Central Barbecue location on Central is the same place as the old Central Barbecue on Central.
But it's so much more. It's big, for one thing.
It is a whole lot bigger. Well, I think it has to be.
Because everybody in Memphis is going to be flocking to the new Central Barbecue location on Central.
Where the old Central Barbecue on Central used to be.
Details.
It's the Mitsubishi Motors Spring Sales Event at Gossett Mitsubishi on the Pike. 2024 Mitsubishi Mirage. We Gossett $249 a month or buy for $18,410 gets 43 MPG. 2024 Mitsubishi Outlander plug-in hybrid PHEV compared to Mazda CX-90. Better range, better warranty, and we Gossett at $299 per month or buy for $42,900. Ready to upgrade your ride? Get 2024 Mitsubishi Outlander. $399 a month or buy for $29,460. Plus, get peace of mind with Mitsubishi's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. Get to Gossett Mitsubishi today to start your year off right. 1870 Covington Pike and 24/7 at MemphisMitsubishi.com.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
MSRP 18410, PHEV RZO 59821, MSRP 489, Outlander RZO 67325, MSRP 33210, includes all rebates and incentives, PF 895, excludes tax title license. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through end of the month with approved credit dealer stock only.
Nestled in the heart of East Memphis, located corner of Park and Cherry, is a beautiful residential neighborhood. I'm here at Town Village Audubon Park interviewing a new resident, Carolyn. Share with us why you chose Town Village.
Well, if your parents or special friends need to make that big move, let me share with you my experience. It was tough for me to leave home, but then I discovered Town Village. I would like to highly recommend Town Village to you and your loved ones. After looking at all the amenities and meeting all the people and the staff, I was hooked. From restaurant, bistro, 3 meals per day, housekeeping, transportation, security, health care, physical therapy, exercise room, and even a heated pool and spa. Come see us and make your new home in Town Village.
Visit us and call Daniel at Town Village Audubon Park at 901-374-7342. There's no place like home, Town Village.
Online radio show is on WHBQ Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Every Monday night at 6, hear the latest news on your Ole Miss Rebels with Nancy Porter with 24/7 Sports. Your Ole Miss defensive captain Mike Fitzsimmons, Gordon Ford covering SEC sports ball, and former Ole Miss baseball announcer Gary Garvey from kickoff to through the extra innings. Your Ole Miss sports on the Rebel Yell Hotline Show. Right here Monday night at 6 on Sports 56, 560 AM and 98.5 FM. Your Mid-South Sports Station. Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. Watching traffic volume increase even more in the last few minutes in a couple of spots. 240 east from Mill Branch out to 385. As you head south of Memphis down the interstate here on 55 through South Haven, it's still moving coming past State Line Road. Still see a lot of snow-covered roads, main and secondary arteries. Give yourself a little bit of extra time tonight. Things could get really dangerous when all this freezes over. Hey, Weimer's Jewelry, 7525 Highway 64 is your full-service, family-owned jewelry store here in Memphis. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
This is Original Sports Station. We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis. Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour brought to you by Jaguar Land Rover Plus Safety once again.
Welcome back in Sports Time. Brian and Brett with you in our Family Leisure Studios. We start our third and final hour, and joining us now to talk some college basketball, Kevin Sweeney from Sports Illustrated. Go give him a follow on Twitter at CBB_Central. Kevin, thanks so much for joining us. A lot to get to, but let's start with the Memphis Tigers. A little bit of a freak out here in Memphis after the Tigers dropped the game on the road Sunday Saturday against Wichita State. There was already a lot of conversation because there were a lot of people here hoping, wanting, thinking that Memphis would be a part of the top 16 that was revealed Saturday. They weren't. Then the next day, they go out and lose to Wichita State on the road. What does that loss do for Memphis in terms of seeding and how they're perceived by the selection committee?
Yeah, it's probably a seed line drop. If they were a 5 or a 6 before, now they're a 6 or a 7. And if you lose again in another quad 2/3 game, all of a sudden maybe it's a 7 or an 8. And for all the work that Memphis has done in the non-conference to try to give themselves a real resume, try to position themselves to be in a seed that allows them to try to win multiple games, not have to play an elite team in the second round, they've slowly but surely whittled away a lot of that good grace with their performance in the league. Again, part of that is that the league puts them in a very disadvantageous position because you don't get a lot of high-level games. But at the same time, the performances just haven't been good enough. And when you look at some of the quality metrics and see that Memphis is below North Carolina right now, I know that says something about the metrics, but it also says something about how Memphis has played.
Yeah.
Kevin, when you watch Memphis play, do you think that is a good team or just a so-so team?
I think that the problem in answering that is I think we get a different Memphis almost every time we see them. I think the Memphis, the locked-in Memphis, the Memphis against Clemson, the Memphis against Ole Miss, like those have been really good basketball teams. I think you watch Memphis in conference play and you see a team that plays to its competition level, and we'll see if that changes, or if that continues in March, that could be a good thing because it means you're playing up against high-level opponents. But at some point, they got to find a way to get up for some of these games because I just don't think the effort level has been great, and this is not a talented enough team to just walk over people because they're better than the others.
Yeah, it's not close to Coach Penny Hardaway's most talented teams. Well, along those lines of is it a good team or not? And you said it's difficult because you kind of get a different version a lot of different nights out. Do you think the coaching follows the same trend line? You may get better coaching nights, some nights over others?
Yeah, I think inevitably that's probably the case with most guys. But, I guess the way I would put it is that at this point in the year, you shouldn't have to coach effort, right? Like you shouldn't have to try to get into guys to make them care, not get into them to make sure they understand the stakes of every game, right? And I think if your guys aren't playing hard enough, that's kind of on your guys at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking at some other teams, watching Texas A&M last night on the road against Mississippi State, I've started to see a lot of people talking about this Texas A&M team because they're a weird team. You look at them, number 7 in the AP poll, number 16 on KenPom right now. Defensively, they're great. They're going to do the dirty work. They're going to play physical. They're going to go out there and out-rebound everybody and grab a ton of offensive rebounds. But when it comes to just offensively shot-making, that's where they really struggle. I mean, you look, in effective field goal percentage, 297, three-point percentage, 301. It feels like this is a confusing team to understand. How do you view this Texas A&M team?
Yeah, I saw them in Vegas at the Players Era, and then I saw them in Indianapolis when they beat Purdue. And I always thought in both times I saw them, I thought they were good. I didn't think they were great, and I give them a lot of credit. They've handled the folks on their schedule really well. They've also had a softer SEC slate, and that toughens up here in their next 4. Home Tennessee, home Vandy, but then at Florida and home Auburn. Like we'll learn a lot about them here in the next couple of weeks. I think. Level of talent-wise, they're probably closer to like a 4 seed than the 2 seed they've been. Them and St. John's are the 2 teams that are sort of defining the trend. They can't make any shots. They have to keep winning games.
Right.
And, I think St. John's has more size and athleticism. A&M is quicker, and their 2 little guards, Wade Taylor and Zurich Phelps, can both really create their own shot, which St. John's doesn't have. So I think in March it helps to have those guys, but those guys have also been known to shoot A&M out of a game or 2, and I think that's what you worry about in March.
Kevin, I feel like I almost kind of owe Coach Josh Pashner an apology for some of his sayings and things. Winning is hard. It is. It is extremely hard, and I don't think you can ever celebrate it and you never should discount one. He also said, the key to the game is making shots. And at the time, a lot of the reaction was, well, duh. You just mentioned shot making. Who are the shot makers? Who's the team that you think can go out there and just get blistering hot and shoot their way all the way to one shining moment?
It's funny. I wrote a column after UConn beat Marquette like 3 weeks ago. And in that game, UConn turned it over 25 times, gave up 17 offensive rebounds, and one going away. Like, it was not really close. And it was because they were just elite making shots that day. Mm-hmm. And I still believe, it's funny, like, they've had so many struggles. They lose to Seton Hall over the weekend. There's so much narrative out there, like how good is the team, or they, huge disappointment, whatever. Like, I think at the end of the day, they're still one of the scariest teams in the country because they have three dudes in solo ball, in Liam McNeely and Alex Caravan, who can flat out shoot the cover off the ball. Mm-hmm. And we've seen that. There are a couple other teams, like I think Texas Tech and Wisconsin are both like unbelievable shot making teams.
What got into Wisconsin?
Yeah, it's funny, like they did an incredible job recruiting, of finding guys to fit their system. Mm-hmm. And they've modernized some things offensively as well. Playing faster, playing 5 out with a center who can space the floor and Stephen Crowell. But they're a big surprise. I mean, one of the biggest surprises to me in the country. I thought this was a roster that kind of looked like an NIT team, and here they are knocking on the door for a 1 seed.
95 last night, 94 last Saturday afternoon at Wisconsin.
It's funny because I think league-wide, Big Ten has modernized a lot more than people give it credit for. This is not, throw the ball to the post 40 times a game like it used to be. But Wisconsin is by far the clearest example of that because, they have totally changed how they play, really revved up the tempo, given their guys a lot more freedom, while still having a lot of the same principles that have made them really good over the years. It's been an incredible coaching job by Greg Gard.
Yeah, it's been fun to watch. Last night, something that was not fun to watch, I guess fun to watch if you were a BYU fan, Kansas and their performance, 91-57 loss against BYU on the road last night. That's now back-to-back losses against Utah and BYU for the Jayhawks afterwards. And Brett and I talk about this all the time. Sometimes you see a quote and it looks a lot worse on paper than it does when you hear it. But I didn't get to hear this, so I don't know how bad it sounded. But after the game, Bill Self, quote, "We need to get away from each other. I thought this would be a great opportunity to do some team bonding, but it hasn't been." What is the state of Kansas right now?
Ooh.
Yeah, it's not pretty. I think there's like the basketball issues and there's the, chemistry issues. Mm-hmm. And I think basketball-wise, I think Self was too wedded to a core in DeJuan Harris, KJ Adams, and Hunter Dickinson that last year was not great. I think they felt like if they supplemented it with the right pieces and got more shooting around them, that it would cover any of their holes, and it hasn't. But I think there's something to be said for guys spending too much time in college, guys having to deal with the pressure of that spot for as long as they have. And I think it's been hard for this Kansas group of like if you go through their starting lineup, you have DeJuan Harris and KJ Adams, who have been there for 4 and 5 years respectively and been playing starters minutes the entire time and feeling the brunt of that for that whole period. Hunter Dickinson is like the most talked about player in the sport. And then you have Zeke Mayo, who's a Lawrence kid, and wearing all of that in his 1 year of eligibility at Kansas, transferring in. And then you have AJ Storr, who was the big name player in the portal, who had everything. Like I think this is a group that walks around tight, that plays tight, that everyone is looking out for their own interest and not the team's interest right now. And the result is not pretty on the basketball court.
And wrong time of the year, and it ended like this last year for Kansas, where team looking at coach and coach looking at team, everybody was sick of looking at each other.
Yeah, 100%. And I know there was the quote last year from Self that kind of circulated again yesterday of like, I was looking forward to next season. I realized like kind of we didn't have the horses and I had to go fix it. And the answers to the test that he came up with weren't the right ones. And so I think there will be wholesale changes at Kansas. Not, obviously some of these guys are going to have to graduate regardless. Harris, Adams, and Dickinson are all out of eligibility, so they'll be gone. But I would guess this is about a full-scale restart, and they'll try to rebuild around Darren Peterson, who's an elite recruit coming in next year, dynamic, shot-creating guard, and try to build with him, and maybe Floyd Badunga, who's their five-star freshman this year, who's been pretty productive in a reserve role as a backup five. I think those two guys will be the nucleus, and they'll have to try to find ways to retool around those two guys.
Mm-hmm. When you look at the SEC teams and the teams that are on the bubble, I have Joe Lenardi's bracket pulled up right here. In terms of last four byes and last four in, 4 SEC teams right there. Texas and Vanderbilt in the last 4 byes. Oklahoma and Arkansas in his last 4 in. Those 4 teams, who makes the field, who doesn't make the field?
I think Texas is well positioned because of their schedule. They have South Carolina this weekend. They then have at Arkansas, home Georgia. They still have home Oklahoma. Like, those are the games to win in this league. So they probably have the easiest path. Arkansas's got a trickier road. Oklahoma is not out of it somehow, despite being 3-10 in the league, because they have those incredible non-conference wins. Neutral Arizona, neutral Louisville, neutral Michigan. 3 incredible wins, and those have propped them up. But the trend is just so bad, it's hard to buy that they'll be, even if they're in tomorrow. I don't know if they're in next week or the week after. And, then Georgia's still kind of hovering in that mix. Vandy's in actually pretty good position, in my opinion. But, that can change in a hurry, and their schedule is brutal. So, I think you'll wind up with probably 2 or 3 of those. Get to 11 or 12. Don't think you'll go above that bid number just because these teams are going to beat each other up too much.
And earlier we were talking about it, Kevin, and Brian can attest that a complete, total SEC homer lapdog that I am, I was saying earlier, 10 losses in the league, you're not a tournament team. I just don't care. And, LSU's not that good. I don't think Arkansas is a tournament team. I don't think Georgia's a tournament team. Can you get in that committee room and really make a case that we want San Francisco, and I think they should be, over those SEC teams?
Yeah, look, I think what's hard is the non-conference results were so staggering for the SEC that, a lot of these schools are going to feel like they deserve the benefit of the doubt. Again, like with Oklahoma, Arkansas would be the same way. Like, Arkansas beat the team that's number 1 in the Big Ten standings right now in Michigan on a neutral court. Mm-hmm. So if I'm Greg Sankey, I'm sitting up there, I'm banging the drum like, hey, like, our teams have proven they're as good as the best of the Big Ten. They're as good as the best of the Big 12. We just have to play our own team for 18 games, and we beat ourselves. So, yeah, I do think there's somebody who said in the committee room for, if you're given so many opportunities, you should be expected to take something, right? If you're a good basketball team, you should be able to go 500 in the SEC, or at least, again, go 8-10, as you said. Mm-hmm. But I have a hard time. I understand the opposite side of it, because
I do too.
San Francisco, like, as good as it is, like, they've had opportunities too that they haven't taken advantage of. So, it's a very slippery slope, no question.
Mm-hmm. Sticking in the good Lord, let me get my words out. Sticking in the SEC. LSU at the bottom, but they announced earlier this week, now back-to-back wins for them, they announced they're going to stick with Matt McMahon, and in doing so, they're going to increase and really kind of hammer down the NIL budget that you look at it, one of the worst in the SEC. What do you make of this move? Because usually when you see athletic department saying that, wanting to increase the NIL, usually comes after a coaching change. Here they're saying, we're going to stick with our guy who's now in his 3rd season, but we're also going to help him out and try to fix this NIL.
Yeah, look, I think it's the right move. I think McMahon has been somewhat hamstrung from the start. There were still people at LSU who were loyal to Will Wade. You're inheriting essentially a complete dumpster fire, questions about sanctions, et cetera. Look, they gave him a 7-year deal when he got the job, and this is year 3. Yeah. Last year they go 500 in the league. If he hasn't had the resources, as you said, like, let's, in this day and age in college basketball, I don't know that you should be spending $12 million to buy out Matt McMahon just to turn around and hire another mid-major coach, right? Like, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Now, am I sold that Matt McMahon's the guy to bring LSU to the top of the SEC? No. And, I do think long-term it's probably going to be a question. But I think in year 3, some patience is smart. And I also think he'd be a prime candidate. We saw in football, guys basically having to give money back. Mike Norvell, Mike Gundy, Brian Kelly had to do it. He'd be a prime candidate for me if I was the AD at LSU. Say, hey, man, if we want more resources, like, it starts with you. Can you pony up for $500,000 and let's see if we can figure this out?
Yeah.
You say that, Kevin, and we I know you know it very well. We can remember, and I said the headline should have been "Man Bites Dog." Jim Harbaugh had to give money back at Michigan.
Yep. And I think it's certainly an incoming trend, especially this year, as you add this $20 million line item for revenue sharing. Like, I think there will be some coaches that are, maybe on the hot seat, maybe close to approaching the hot seat, who say, hey, if I want to have my job long term, I better give back $1 million and soften the blow on our athletic department. Because look, I will say this: I don't think people outside of college basketball necessarily understand. Like, there are conversations in athletic departments with people like head coaches are close with about having to take negotiated settlements to walk away or getting laid off. Like, I was talking to a Big Ten school the other day who said, like, the people we really value in our program are going to have to lose their jobs. They're not, coaches. They're not on the staff. They're not every day, but they're key parts of the athletic department. And I think coaches see that and say, hey, like, if I can soften the blow with, it's not going to cost me much in the grand scheme of things, like, I'll do that, especially if my job's on the line.
That is so accurate, Kevin, and I see it, know of it, of names a lot of people wouldn't know, and their positions, their functions have been critical for a long time. Their early retirement being offered. I mean, they're being doged out at a lot of places. Now, if I'm any SEC football or basketball coach and my AD comes to me for, let's take a little haircut, my answer is this: after I call my agent or I get on a conference call with my agent, the day Sam Pittman gives money back, then I'll give money back. But before then, don't ask me to do it again.
That's a good answer. I mean, look, it ain't easy to ask guys. I mean, this is the biggest contract they'll ever have in most cases. But I do think it'll be interesting to see how that changes. I think it'll be interesting to see, do schools with coaches they aren't in love with but can't afford to fire, do they drop the coaches' buyout to leave on their own terms and say, hey, man, like, we wouldn't be heartbroken if you hadn't found another job. I know that's something that's been talked about potentially at Oklahoma with Porter Moser in year 4. So, I think there's a lot of different ways to go about it. But, I think everybody's got to find more money. That's the story of college basketball right now. Everybody needs more.
It's like a vampire seeking blood right now. They can't get their hands on enough. And Kevin, we know the games that can be played after you say, no, I'm not taking any haircut. I'm not taking any salary reduction. Within your recruiting budget gets slashed, or next year your 2 years your exotic MTE that you were going to go to, they tell you no, you can't go to it. They can play their games too.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, like I mean, now it could be as simple as the rev share number. Hey, like, we're going to give you 3.5, but if you don't give us back $500,000, okay, I guess we gotta dump you to 3, and we'll go give it more to football. We got players to pay in LSU football. There's never been a question about that.
That's right. Kevin, it looks like the tournament expansion is back on the table. Pete Thamel talked about it on College Game Day. It's not stopping. Here's what his tweet said over the weekend. Here's our College Game Day report on potential NCAA tournament expansion for the 2026 season. If the tournament is to expand, and it remains an if, the more likely option is to go to 76 teams per multiple high-ranking sources. The NCAA and its media partners remain in discussions, with a decision likely within the next few months. Expansion to 76 would mean a likely additional site to join Dayton, which would be expected to be outside of the Eastern time zone for travel. We bring this up all the time with you, but it feels like this time we're very close to news on tournament expansion.
Yeah, I think we're headed that way. As you said, I think the most likely outcome is some sort of small expansion. Extend the bubble out a couple spots, so that's 4 or 8. And I I don't necessarily have a problem with that on its face. I just wish everyone would be more transparent about the reasons why. Like if the NCAA came out and said, "Hey, look, the financial situation of college sports right now is in a very dangerous place, and if we can make a little bit more money, it will make it, we'll be able to pay out a little bit more. It'll help smaller conferences to support their student athletes. Like, we need this money to pay players. You need this money for this, money for that." Like, I get it. I don't quite understand the competitive purposes for it. I'd like to see if there is some sort of expansion like that there be some sort of ruling or something in writing to make sure that a couple of those spots go to schools outside the power conferences. I would hope that's the case, but I just wish there was more transparency as to why. It doesn't seem like this is like necessarily going to grandly, hugely change the college basketball landscape. I think people like it at 68, and people appreciate the move more if they were given a reason that made some sense.
Yeah. But Kevin, after we do it, and those that like, I think all three of us are, if we could make the ruling on it, we would know we're going to love it once they do it.
It's the same as the tournament. I'm not turning it off. I mean, I'll take, if you want to give me 2 extra games on Tuesday night and Wednesday night, and give me some more reasons to be excited about the tournament the first couple days. Like that's great. Yeah, I'm in.
One more last second thriller late on a Tuesday night or early on a Wednesday afternoon. Bring it on.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Well, Kevin, as always, thanks so much for joining us, and we'll do it again next week.
Thanks, fellas.
Thanks, Kevin. Kevin Sweeney joining us. No, you're absolutely right, Brett. I mean, I hate the idea. I hate the idea, but I'm also the same guy that watches NIT games during midweek, during the tournament. So if you're telling me more NCAA tournament games, of course I'm going to watch them.
I'm trying to think. I think I've been opposed to everything in my life. I know I was opposed to expanded baseball. The 1 game wild card. It worked. Mm-hmm. Now I like the series. Mm-hmm. It works. The college football playoff. It works. The new one will work. Mm-hmm. NFL, all of them. Yeah. NBA going. Brian, that was and David Stern just couldn't have his better teams being knocked out of those 3 out of 5, and the one that did it. And you can go to YouTube and see Dikembe Mutombo, clutching the ball after the upstart Nuggets had eliminated a beast of a team in Seattle, and George Karl's with Gary Payton and some great teams. He just couldn't have them going out that early.
No. I mean, this is one where I am both feet dug into the dirt, planting my flag of I hate this. But you're right. I mean, when it happens, I'm going to be watching it. It's not going to stop me. I'm not going to go on a protest of, I'm not watching this, if it is another pod like Dayton. I'm not watching these games. They don't belong here.
If I go on a hunger strike, I'm going to give up asparagus. I'm not giving up strawberry shortcake.
That's right. I was in here watching Charlotte and Temple earlier today. I'm definitely going to be watching.
How'd that turn out?
NCAA tournament. It's a great game, Brett. Went to overtime. Charlotte able to run away with it, but I think something like 11 ties, 14 lead changes. I mean, great game. It was.
That's not good for Memphis.
No. But Charlotte, a win at home over Temple. Really fun game in front of the 75 people in attendance. Nobody there for that one, but
assure me of something.
Okay.
Memphis can't play onto the bubble, can they?
Lose another game, you might be. I can't assure you of that, Brett. Lose 2 more, you're definitely on the bubble. I mean, because right now, Kevin said it. I mean, if they are a 7 seed right now, which it feels like a lot of bracketologists have them around low 6 or 7. If they're that right now, if they drop another game, then what does that make them? That makes them 8, 9, right? And that'd be on the bubble.
And the net is not sporty.
No, it's not getting any better. And none of these games, none of these wins that they're going to pick up are going to help. Kevin was talking about it. When you're playing, all your games are quad 2, quad 3s. I mean, it's hard to, and that's what's happened to them is they have all these quad 1s at the beginning of the season when nobody else is playing all these quad 1s. And no, that's not changing. But now you're not playing any quad 1s, and every team in the SEC, most all the teams in the Big Ten, and other teams out there, every game they're playing are against quad ones, and
lose
that's hard.
Sunday to FAU at home would be
it'd be devastating. Yeah.
On a lot of levels.
That changes everything.
To resume, to psyche.
Yeah. Let's see.
To support.
Let's see. Can I pull it up?
And then
fast
at
enough?
UAB.
Let's see.
And then one before the finals at Dickey's.
So
either Friday or Saturday.
Yeah. So Florida Atlantic would be a quad 3. Or is a quad 3 game. So if you lost that one at home on Sunday, that'd be a quad 3 win or a quad 3 loss, which would make you 7-4 in quad 3, and that would not be good for a resume. So yeah, I mean, I wish I could assure you of that, but I'm afraid I can't. So we'll just, it's time to lock in if you're the Tigers. And these are all now very important games. When Penny Hardaway says on Monday that it felt like, or it seemed like the players didn't care if they won or lost out there, you can't have that the rest of the season. I mean, all of these games are very important.
Is it his job to make a college player that's being paid care?
It shouldn't be his job. I mean, they should be out there.
And I'm sorry, I filibuster. I've blown through the break. I'm sorry.
I mean, it's fine. I think these are important conversations, and we can come back to them in the next segment if we need to. It shouldn't be his job. Those guys should be out there again, like you said.
It should not be, but he's going to be the one catching
exactly. And it becomes his job because if for whatever reason they're not showing up,
and
you gotta make them want to care.
I know his job is everything.
Right.
But why does he have to motivate again? And they are being paid well.
Sure. Yeah, I mean it's the same. I mean it's their job. We don't want to call
it's
it
your
a job,
job.
But it is a job. I mean, Eli's not coming in here every day. He's my boss. He's not coming in here saying, "Hey, Brian, I need you. You sound like you don't care on the air. I need you to pick it up." Yeah,
you got to care.
Yeah, you got to care. No, it's my job. I mean, I'm paid to
you
do
might
this.
Come in and tell us we need to learn when the timeout is for the break and not blow through it like I did.
Well,
I'll take that hit.
It's okay, and we'll get to this break, and when
Landon's about to kill us.
Well, hey, it's okay. That's his job. He's got to make sure that we're
yeah,
on,
it's your job, Landon. We're going to blame it on you.
I like hearing
It's
you
your
two
fault.
talk about this stuff, all right?
Well, let's get to a break.
Yeah.
And when we come
We'll
back,
talk some more.
We'll talk some more about this. So let's go ahead and get to a break. When we come back, we'll talk about what's trending.
Since 1948, in the alley, the Rendezvous. I'm with John Vargas. John, what's going on in the Rendezvous? Brett, after 76 years, we've decided to expand our product line. Anyone who's tasted our ribs is familiar with our vinegar base. It's now available in the 32-ounce jar. It's so good the base will marinate all meats. I even put a little bit on turnip greens. Something we've been using at the restaurant or at our house has been the Greek seasoning. My father was a cook, but my mother was a chef. And she was the one that put Greek seasoning on everything from the Mediterranean diet to steak. My mom used it on soup, salad, veggies, fish, any meat. It's a great seasoning and a flavor enhancer. My brother Nick figured out salt and pepper is more than just McCormick's and Morton's. He's come up with the perfect blend we use to coat our shoulders and our brisket, and he used to make it for his friends as Christmas gifts, and they loved it. All these products are available at Rendezvous or online for shipping as gifts and in many grocery stores. And if they're not in your favorite grocery store, ask your grocer to stock it. A beloved family affair is still going strong since 1948. Rendezvous.
I went hands-free.
I went hands-free.
I went hands-free.
I went hands-free with Skechers Slip-ins.
Join the millions of people who are celebrating going hands-free with Skechers Slip-ins. Footwear you just step into and they're on.
It's crazy how something as simple as a pair of shoes have made my life better.
After trying Skechers Slip-ins, I want all my shoes to have this technology.
See what everybody can't stop talking about. Go hands-free with Skechers Slip-ins at a Skechers store, Skechers.com, or wherever stylish footwear is sold.
Hello?
Hey,
Hello, sis. Did you get your W-2 yet?
Yes, I did.
Well, last year when I told you to file early to get your refund quick?
Yes, I remember.
Well, go ahead and call now, and you can get your refund fast.
Thanks. That's why I love you. Always looking out for your little sis.
To get your taxes filed quick and get your refund fast, go to Brenton Tax Service, located in Midtown Memphis on Madison Avenue. We may not be related to you, but at Brenton Tax Service, we protect you like family.
At Jason's Deli, when you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises, just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it, because you're not just taking a bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets with vegan and gluten-free options available. Convenience and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com, so whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli with locations at Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, Poplar and Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli. It's wholesome food and no surprises.
This traffic brought to you by Brinson Tax Service. They protect you like family.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. Still trying to clean up a couple of wrecks we had out here earlier. What we're concerned about is some of these snow-covered roads, both major and secondary arteries, that could freeze over tonight. So be careful if you have to get out and about right now. It's moving on. 240 getting on to 385 Billmore Parkway, where normally that would start to load up with a little bit more volume. Weimer's Jewelry, 7525 Highway 64, is your full-service, family-owned jewelry store right here in Memphis. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Well, you just heard this hour brought to you every day by Jaguar Land Rover Bluff City. They're our great 5 o'clock sponsors, and make sure you head out to Jaguar Bluff City because they've been the premier Jaguar dealership for the greater Memphis area since 1984. Their talented team's ready to help you find your next perfect vehicle at unbeatable rates. Swing by Jaguar Land Rover Bluff City today and check out those new 2025 models like the Range Rover Sport, the Range Rover Velar, and the Defender. Test drive the Range Rover Sport where luxury meets performance. It's a perfect mix of style, performance, and versatility with options ranging from 360 horsepower up to 635. It's also available as a plug-in hybrid electric vehicle with $7,500 federal tax credit when leased with approved credit. Take a look at the Range Rover Velar, powered by mild hybrid technology and enhanced with the latest well-being features and fully connected entertainment system. The Range Rover Velar is the ultimate luxury compact crossover. Purchase yours today and get special 4.4% for 72 months financing available with approved credit. Don't forget about the Defender. Available multiple models to fit your needs, the Defender is built for the modern explorer, and Jaguar Bluff City is offering special interest rates for 60 and 72 months on various models. Give them a call, 877-259-6169. Go online to jaguarbluffcity.com. Head out there and test drive those vehicles. 6335 Will Cove, just off of Quince for Bluff City Jaguar. We talked about it before the break, but yeah, Brett, I mean, the games coming up until the end of the season and really even into the conference tournament, all of these have now become very important games for the Tigers.
They have, but I don't know that I see two. I don't see any at home, and I'm not so sure about at UAB. But okay, I'll give you that one.
Sure.
And I don't think anything before conference championship Sunday.
Mm-mm. No, so, I mean, especially if you
as
continue.
a 1 seed losing on Friday in Fort Worth, I don't think it's going to happen.
I don't think so, and that's the thing. I mean, it would have to be disaster for the Tigers to not have that number 1 seed, and you feel like if you're going in there, you know, everything's kind of been made for you in that conference tournament that sets you up pretty nice. I don't feel like multiple losses are coming. I don't even know if one loss is coming after that one, but if you have another game where you go out there and you're going through the motions, you can't score the ball, and another team is out hustling you and being a little more physical than you, then I wouldn't put anything past it.
And one more conference loss would and win out from that. Just take one more, win everything else. That would land the Tigers at 15-3.
Yeah.
Nobody had that in the preseason. Nobody.
No. I mean, we all had worse because you think, conferences, it's tough. Conference play is tough, and you're going to take some losses. And I think that, we talked about it yesterday, I think that is reflective of the quality of this league and what the net thinks of this league, what the selection committee thinks of this league, what bracketologists think of this league. It's not a very good league.
And, there were a lot of 14-4s and mostly 13-5s and a smattering of 12-6s.
Yeah.
But there was no 18-0, 17-1, 16-2, 15-3.
No.
None.
Not at all. Not at all. I mean, it would have been, I would have called I'd called that ridiculous before the season started.
Yeah.
And here we are, and you look up and
I was 14-4, and my four, I was just searching. I thought there were 4 out there. I was just trying to get lucky and hit the spot.
Right. Yeah. And I think that's a lot of it, right? When you're doing the preseason stuff, is I don't know where they're going to come, but you got to think 4 or 5
I did have one of mine
losses.
at Wichita, but I know I had another one at Charlotte.
Yeah. Well, and I had no idea Charlotte was.
I think
gonna be
most
as
had
bad.
at UAB.
Yeah. I mean that's a tough one. But we've seen what the Tigers can do.
I think my other one was at Temple. I swear I do.
I believe it. I mean,
just because
Memphis has struggled at Temple, it feels like every year at Temple is a tough one, even though they've been fortunate
and this
and gotten
whole
wins.
dialogue started over Temple losing today.
That's right.
That's what got all this kicked off.
Yeah. In overtime, great game. Oh man, for people who didn't show up for that 2:00 start in Charlotte, I mean, you should be mad at yourself because that was a great game. Something else, Memphis basketball.
So Memphis has lost this year right now. The 2 conference losses are to League 7 and League 8.
Wow. I didn't know that.
Temple and Wichita.
Be honest, Brad. I haven't been checking the conference standings very closely.
Oh, 7 and 8.
Well, at least there's not much separation there. I mean, it's pretty consistent. That range.
Middle of the pack.
Yeah, it's a struggle for you, but no. I mean, we'll see how they respond. I think they'll respond really well on Sunday against FAU. Something else I wanted to get to here in this segment, Grizzlies related. Earlier today, they announced activities for Tony Allen's jersey retirement ceremony on March 15th. It's a game against the Miami Heat. The first 5,000 fans in attendance will receive a commemorative vinyl record that will include interviews and other audio elements from Allen's stint with the Grizzlies. We know that's the same. They did that for both Zebo and Mark. The Grizzlies will also debut a documentary film about Allen's life and career. The documentary features former teammates, coaches, members of the Grizzlies media, but also Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, and Damian Lillard giving their personal accounts of having Tony Allen guard them. I mean, those are 3, elite offensive players in the NBA that will be put out March 6th on the Grizzlies YouTube channel. Lupe Fiasco, who is a Chicago native like Allen, will perform at halftime. There will also be a limited edition re-release of the All Heart Grit Grind t-shirts that were very popular in the 2011 playoff run. So March 15th, write it down. It's going to be a lot of fun downtown.
It will be, and I guarantee you Glenn Cyprian will be prominently prominently featured in that, having recruited him at Oklahoma State for Coach Eddie Sutton and a longtime confidant and friend of Tony Allen. That's going to be a fun day. That'll leave one of the core 4 to be retired, to have a number retired, but he's got to retire first.
Yeah, wait till he retires before you honor him. But no, I mean that's the one you're waiting for.
Can Mike Conley start signing autographs? Mike Conley, Grizzlies number retired.
Yeah.
Like Tom Brady saying.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, when you talk about locks, I think there's 2 things locked. Mike Conley being a Grizzlies Hall of Famer and Tom Brady being an NFL Hall of Famer.
I said during it, at the last New England championship.
Yeah.
Waive the 5 years, put him in now as active player.
Oh, I remember you saying that. And I mean, that's the thing is, I understand, maybe it's a little much to sign, while you're signing your name, have that in there.
It's a little affected, but
it's a
Tom
little
Brady
out
could be
there.
affected.
That's very true. At the same time, I mean, he's not lying.
He dumped Giselle. He can be affected.
That's true. Yeah, he's not the most.
Yeah.
He comes with his surprises, I guess we can say.
Very high maintenance.
Very, very high maintenance. So yeah, that is something that it feels like should surprise you. It should shock you when you hear that, like a player that's not even.
They should do his ceremony this summer.
They should. But that was.
Why are we waiting to 28?
Yeah, of course we gotta go by the rules and wait the time. No, it's Tom Brady. Get him in there. Put him in there yesterday. But
we're not the Constitution.
Yeah, I wonder, and I'm sure that's why it's been brought up. But I mean, if I got an autograph from Tom Brady that was signed, Hall of Fame, HOF, 28 or whatever it said, I'm immediately going to eBay or wherever, and I'm putting that up there for, buku's amount of money. Now, they might say this is fake because Tom Brady wouldn't do that, and then you'd have to go out there and, prove that he
But, I bet he's in some Hall of Fame.
Oh, yeah.
His high schools or Michigan's or something.
He's got to be.
College football.
Yeah, he's already a Hall of Famer, but
yeah.
I think everybody knows what that HOF really meant. But it is funny. Let's go ahead and get to a break, and when we return, we'll wrap up today's show with Crunch Time.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Hey everybody, the new Silverado deal of the year, maybe the decade, is here in Olive Branch at All-Star Chevrolet, where all the Silverados are. Yes, you can get financing down to 2.9, plus make no payments for 90 days. Finance your new Blazer, 1.9, no payments for 90 days. Look, it's still love month, so come get a new Silverado or Blazer. You will love no payments till May, and your good credit deserves it. If you're law enforcement, first responders, healthcare, military, education, recent grad, you get an extra $500 bonus. And if you're looking for certified Silverado Tahoe Suburbans, they're right here at All-Star Chevy in Olive Branch. Every pre-owned you want, Fords, Hondas, Hyundais, dozens of Silverados, they're all here. And if you have any vehicle you want to sell, bring it here to All-Star Chevy in Olive Branch and get the most money for it today. Together, let's drive. AllStarAutoGroup.com.
No two people learn the exact same way. So how did Babbel become the award-winning language learning app? We thought of you, all of you. Take Sierra. As a visual learner, she uses Babbel's wordplay videos. Merci beaucoup. Keith is a be in the room with real people kind of learner, so he loves the live online classes with our language experts.
Okay, class. Vos está pronto. Estamos prontos.
However you learn, Babbel makes it easy. Try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. BABBEL.com.
At Skechers, we put the S in comfort. Now, I know you're probably spelling comfort in your head and asking yourself, is that possible? Am I just a really bad speller? I don't know your spelling aptitude, but Skechers most definitely put the S in comfort. Because Skechers is the comfort technology company and has developed sets of features that change everything you know about comfort. Like hands-free Skechers slip-ins, the ultimate in comfort and convenience. It's full range, just step into it and on, with no bending down. Find Skechers at a Skechers store, Skechers.com, or wherever stylish footwear is sold.
Everyone needs protection, whether you're on the field or on the road, so make sure you have the best. Bob Simpson State Farm Insurance can buckle you up with auto insurance, can back you up with life and health insurance, cover your business whether it's starting, growing, or maturing, and don't forget to insure your home, no matter if you're an owner or a renter. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Call Bob Simpson today at 901-381-1233 or go online and get a free quote at bobsimpson.org. Stay protected with your good neighbor, Bob Simpson.
school, and we're just getting started. So.
Spanning the globe.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy!
This is for all the biggest crunch time.
You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that? Goodbye! Hello, high school.
It's obviously crunch time.
Hammer, nail, coffin. This baby is over.
Well, there was good news earlier this morning for a former Tiger basketball player. Michael Scotto reported it on social media. The Cleveland Cavaliers have agreed to a 10-day contract with Naquan Tomlin. Tomlin has averaged 24.6 points on 55.4% shooting and 38.7% from three-point range, 8 rebounds, 2.5 assists, and 2.2 blocks in his last 5 games for the Cleveland Charge. Naquan Tomlin was picked up by the Charge as just a G League guy, but now an opportunity with a 10-day to show what he can do in the NBA. And in that 10-day, I don't know how much run he'll get on the court, but he'll be around a lot of really good dudes, young, really talented players on a team that looks like they could really make a run for it. So I'm sure it'll be some really valuable time with the Cleveland Cavaliers. And it's always good to see a former Tiger finding success. And now Naquan Tomlin, he'll get his shot on the 10-day.
Do you think last year's Tiger team was more talented than this year's?
I don't think last year's team was more talented. Okay. I think this year's team's very talented.
Do you think there have been more talented teams than this year's?
Yes.
In the many years?
I would say, yeah, probably.
What I learned today, 425 SEC wins for John Calipari at 2 stops, Kentucky and Arkansas. 368 for Bruce Pearl at Tennessee and Auburn. That's first and second in active coaches at SEC schools. Also, they're first and second in league wins with 202 for Cal and 166 for Bruce Pearl. Auburn leads Arkansas 15-13 all-time on the Plains, but Arkansas leads all-time in the series 38-22.
Yeah. What I could have done without, it's the Vladimir Guerrero Jr. saga in Toronto. Ugh.
What did you think of the haircut?
Well, it is, it's a new look for Vladdy. You definitely, it takes a second, but I like it.
For all of us, as we get older, you look like your dad.
Sure. Oh, he definitely looks like his father. But I don't know. These last couple of years in Toronto have been really tough. It feels like they've had talented teams not able to do anything with them. Have made a couple managerial changes. Then it feels like every offseason they're the team that's going to go out and get the big fish and get that big-time free agent, and they just have not been able to do that. Now Vladimir Guerrero has been trying to get a contract extension. He has said multiple times he wanted to get it done before spring training started, before the season started, because he didn't want to have to worry about it during the season. They were not able to reach an agreement, and so now Vladimir Guerrero Jr. will enter this season, and at the end of it will become a free agent. We'll see how this relationship progresses throughout the season. Maybe a guy to keep an eye on around trade deadline.
I could have done without any bracket that has OU, Georgia, or even Arkansas in the bracket. Find someone else. The SEC's real good, but those 3 have 11 combined wins. Those 3 combined for 11 wins. That isn't deserving.
Yeah, well, and we talked about it with Kevin. We've talked about it. I think it's going to be a big discussion all the way until Selection Sunday. And even after Selection Sunday, that feels like it's going to be the big conversation is the SEC. Because obviously it's such a talented conference. It's so good. We're going to be talking about all the teams they get in there, all the teams that are in the top 2-3 seeds. But then you're going to have these teams where they're really playing as, kind of that double-edged sword of, they have good wins. They're playing in a tough conference, but on the other side, they get to conference play and are really struggling to pick up wins. So that's going to be a really fun storyline to watch over this next month. Where are you beaming tonight?
Beam me to Rupp Arena.
Yeah.
Vandy at Rupp against Kentucky. Play sound. They could pull the upset. Kentucky's a 4.5-point favorite. 21-95 all time for Vandy at Rupp, but going for that season sweep.
Yeah, I didn't mention it earlier. Yesterday when we were beaming, I beamed down to Fort Worth for TCU Texas Tech. I said maybe with Desmond Bain getting his jersey retired and in attendance could give them some magic to pull the upset. That was a great ceremony. I did not actually believe that TCU would pull the upset against Texas
Everything
Tech.
you talked about happened.
I mean, it did, and I did not see that coming.
Grizzlies
but
well represented there.
Very well represented. That was a really, really fun night, certainly for Desmond Bain. It was really cool to watch. But being me tonight, Alabama at Missouri, this feels like a big-time game for both teams, both in the top 15 of the AP poll. For Alabama, coming off that loss against Auburn, want to pick up a win, but it's going to be tough on the road against Missouri.
Bama at Mizzou, that's a good one tonight. Mizzou favored.
Yeah.
They're favored at home tonight. 1.5. Cincinnati, West Virginia, we talked about earlier. North Carolina, they can't lose at the Dean Dome to NC State.
No. That's a big one. I mean, North Carolina's not been playing well. They have really struggled, and you cannot lose that game if you're them. But NC State, kind of bottom of the barrel in the ACC, they would love a win. Even though UNC has been struggling, they would love to pick up that win. And then we got NBA later tonight. Don't forget about the NBA. 9 o'clock, Lakers and Charlotte. They asked Mark Williams about the whole saga, and he said, I didn't think I failed my physical, so, I don't know where that goes. I don't know if it goes anywhere, but that'll be fun. I'll definitely be paying attention to that game tonight.
I'm ready. I'm ready for the full slate of games tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow's going to be a lot of fun. Like you said, that full slate, and then getting the Grizzlies back will be really, really fun to see them in what will be 3 tough games against Eastern Conference teams. We'll talk a ton about that tomorrow during the show, but that's all the time we have today. Enjoy tonight. Like we said, some really good games in the top 25 in the SEC tonight. College basketball, you have one NBA game coming back. So some good hoops on television tonight. Enjoy it. Stay safe out in those conditions with the weather that's going on. But enjoy the night, and we'll talk to you again tomorrow afternoon.